Quick content warning. This episode of The Film is Okie Dokie touches on the topics of sexual assault and suicide. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Film is Okie Dokie. I'm Tommy. With me, as always, CJ. How you doing, CJ?
I'm doing all right. It's hot outside, but cold inside.
What do you have your AC set to?
Hang on, I'll tell you. With the power of the remote, 66.
What do you... 66? Jeez. What do you normally set your AC to? Like, is it always at 66, or is this just because it's really hot
between 66 and 68.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your air conditioning bill must be bonkers.
The power company is crooks anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, let's play a little game. What was your electric bill last month?
Oh, geez. Don't even make me check. I don't know off the top of my head.
You have a ballpark.
It's usually like $80 to $100 for a month.
Okay. Do you want to guess how much my electric bill was last month?
Oh.
Now, two people live in my house, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, this is a very corrupt electric company. It's being fucking sued by the state.
All right. Hearing all of this, and it's got to be something ridiculous, I'm going to go out a limb and say $230.
You are incredibly far away. Go ahead. Guess again.
$400.
You're not even close.
What is it?
$2,000.
What?
Yep.
What?
Yep.
That can't be right.
It is.
What?
Yeah. No, it's a corrupt electric company. When we get site readings, it's like $500.
What?
So we pay for 2 months at a time. Every other billing cycle is a site reading. Every other one is an estimate. So the site reading is like $250 a month. The estimate is like $2,000 for 2 months.
This is a racket. This is so do you have to pay this $2,000? Or is it because of the fact that there's ongoing legal action, it's all on hold?
No, we don't pay $2,000 every 2 months. Basically, what happens is they can't turn off your utilities as long as you pay something.
Mm-hmm.
So we just pay something. They do audits at the end of the year. We've gotten like $8,000 refunds.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is it not like, it's kind of like when you go to a museum and they're like, it's free to enter, but you pay what you want to enter and it goes to charity, kind of like that, where it's like, I feel like I used $20 of electric this month. Here you go.
Kind of, sure. I guess, except it's not free. They're definitely like, it's opposite, right? It's like, you owe us $1 million. I've got $6 in a bus pass. Sold.
Perfect. I'll take it. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Not to get too deep into my finances, but it's ridiculous. So yeah. So fuck them. If we're gonna pay all that money, I'm gonna have the air conditioner on, because starving yourself of utilities doesn't do anything, right? It doesn't lower the bill. We're getting a $2,000 electric bill in the winter, and I have gas.
Speaking of air conditioning, I understand you have some sort of thing to tell me about on the subject.
God damn it. Some people don't believe that these things are real, that these stories happen to me. They do, man. I don't know why, but they do.
Oh God, what happened now?
No, it's terrible. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. First, I'm going to explain something to everybody that lives not in the Northeast or maybe in the Midwest, right? Because what I've learned is that a lot of people don't understand this about air conditioning, okay? And I'm not being facetious. I've been trying to tell the story, and some people don't understand. Air conditioning, when I'm talking about air conditioning, I'm not talking about central air. I'm not talking about having a unit outside of my house which pumps cold air through my house. When I talk about air conditioning, I'm talking about window air conditioned units, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That the way that they work is that you have a window and you put the air conditioner in the window, okay? Now, I'm clarifying this because some people in the South don't understand, right? Because they just turn the air conditioner on. It's like part of the thermostat.
Mm-hmm.
If I go to my thermostat and set it to 50, my house isn't getting colder. For the purposes of this story, I just want everyone to understand the air conditioner is something you put in the window. Yo, but what about fuck off. Portable air conditioner, same thing. You put the vent up to the window, okay? It's the same principle. So, my house has 4 floors, technically, but the 4th floor is like a half-finished attic. So 3 floors. We only cool 3 floors. There's my floor, upstairs, and upstairs, okay? So my floor has 1 air conditioner. You've been in my apartment. I put it in my office. It cools down everything except the bathroom. My apartment's like an L shape, so that's fine. Upstairs has 1 air conditioner, which goes in the window in the family room, and that's a big unit. That's huge because it's supposed to cool down the whole middle floor of the house, okay? Then upstairs, because that's where it's the hottest, we have 2 air conditioners. We have 1 in each bedroom. So to review, we have 1 air conditioner in my apartment, 1 air conditioner in the upstairs, and 2 air conditioners in the upstairs. And then we don't cool the upstairs. All right. Now, when we pulled them out and put them in, 3 out of 4 of them don't work. 2 of them don't blow cold air. 1 of them, so I learned this about newer air conditioners. What it does is that there's a drain pan area, and the water is supposed to go in there, and then it's supposed to splash the water onto the coils to cool down the coils, right? And the reason it does that is to make it more efficient, because then the water that's being wasted for draining is being reused to cool down the system, right? Mm-hmm. There's like a thing that's supposed to splash it onto the thing, like a fan or something. Mine doesn't do that. Mine broke. Something broke about it, and so it just pools water.
When you say mine, are you referring to the one downstairs where you live, or the one on the main floor?
Yeah, okay. Mine. The one in my apartment.
Right.
That the one upstairs and one of the ones upstairs were not blowing cold air. The one on my floor wasn't putting water onto it. So to give you a perspective, I had plugged it in for 1 day. Okay, so I take it out of storage. I make sure that it's got no water in it. I put it in the window. I let it run for 1 day. At the end of that day, when I found out my mom's air conditioner wasn't working, or the one upstairs, I said, don't worry, I'm going to get one. I'll get a new one. You could use mine until yours comes tomorrow, right? Because she had to order a new one. So I picked mine up out of the window, and I'm like, oh, there's some water in here. So I went and got my bucket, and 2 gallons of water in 1 day.
Wow.
And I had water damage last year, and I'm starting to think that the air conditioner was part of it. So that was that. So I'm like, okay, I need a new air conditioner. She needs a new air conditioner. She ordered one. I ordered one. We both ordered, independent of each other, a GE, which is a good brand, General Electric, right?
I'm aware of the brand.
8,000 BTU window air conditioner. Don't ask me what BTU is. Fuck off. 8,000 BTUs, okay? And that's supposed to cool like up to 250 square feet, I think.
BTU is British thermal unit, but go on.
Fuck off.
It's like 1,055 joules, but go on.
I don't need to know about the joules or the British thermal whatever.
BTUs.
You put the BTU means cold, okay? That's the bigger it is, unit. Cool. Bigger number, more cool per square footage. Okay? All right. Fucking engineers.
I feel so slandered against.
Well, guess what? I contacted you, and what did you tell me to do? We're getting to that part of the story. So then I'm like, okay.
I remember you messaging me about this now.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
You pig dog. Yeah. Yeah, you feel so slandered against. Wait till you get to your part in the story, Mac. So the big one in the family room it's huge. It's a vertical air conditioner. So most air conditioners are meant to sit in a double pane window on the bottom pane, resting on the sill. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
This one is a sliding window, and as such, you could put a regular air conditioner in it, but it's not going to fill the window, right? So this is a vertical air conditioner. You have to install like a shelf that like leans up against the house, right? And it sits on the shelf. It's a huge unit, probably weighs like 40 or 50 pounds. Really, but it kicks ass. That one broke. That one costs $500 to replace. That we don't have the money for right now. So we bought a regular GE 8000 BTU. We put it in a non-sliding window, but it's farther away and it's not big or strong enough to cool the whole floor. It just cools the bedroom up there. So I get mine from Home Depot. Okay, she had hers delivered. I went and got mine from Home Depot because I don't like playing around. I am like, okay, I want this air conditioner. Where's this air conditioner? This is the price. I'm going to go pick it up right now. I get in the car, drive to Home Depot, get inside, find it. It's on sale. I pick one up. I check out. $301. Get it back in the car. Go home. It's 80 some odd degrees that day. It's really hot. 85 degrees. But humid, you know. I'm putting it together outside in my work area, on my little workbench. And I'm putting it together. And I go inside. I take the old one out. The old one was upstairs already. Open the window, put that in the window, turn it on. And I'm so hot. I'm like, that feels so good. So I let it run, and it doesn't work. After 2 days, I realize it doesn't work. The way I find out for sure it doesn't work, I'm like so bewildered that it's not cold in my apartment. It's like in the 70s. I had 2 nights of sweating my ass off. I'm like, what the fuck? So I call my mom, like, hey, can you just go downstairs and tell me if my air conditioner's working? She goes, sure. I'll go down there, and I'll call you when I'm down there. So about 5 minutes later, she comes back. She didn't call. I said, you didn't call? She goes, oh yeah, that thing doesn't work at all. And she starts laughing. That thing doesn't work one bit. I'm like, okay. I call Home Depot, and they're like, yeah, if you have the receipt, just bring it back. I take the air conditioner, I throw it in the box, I put some of the screws that came with it in there, and I put the manual on top. It didn't fit in the box, so I taped the box shut with duct tape, kind of, and then I put the box on my dolly, and I put the dolly in the car, and I got in the car, and I drove to Home Depot. I get in line. There's 35 people in line. It's super long. And
then there were 34 people in line.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then there were 33
But there's a guy in
line.
front who's trying to return like a bunch of plaster, putty, I don't know, caulk. He's got big things of white goop. And he's trying to return them in like a spackle and like a drywall knife. He's trying to return these.
He must have gotten those from my bedroom.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Nailed it. And they're like, sir, we can't give you store credit unless you have an ID. And so there's only 2 people doing returns. This one woman did every single return while this one guy was incapacitated because this guy had an expired passport, an expired driver's license, an expired non-driver's license, and an expired state ID. I'm like, okay. Then I finally got close enough to hear the problem. He goes, okay, what if I don't want store credit? They're like, oh, well, we can put it back on the card that you bought it with. He goes, yeah, that's fine. He pulls the card out of his pocket. I was fucking pissed. And it was 100 degrees in the Home Depot. They had a sign up saying their air conditioner was broken. I was like, Jesus Christ. I'm sweating my ass off.
There's your problem. You went to a Home Depot that has a broken air conditioner to buy an air conditioner.
I know. It wasn't broke when I bought it. So then I get to the front and I'm like, hi, my air conditioner, this doesn't work. I want an exchange. She goes, okay, that's fine. Go get a new one and come back. And I was like, I had to get back at the end of the line. She said, yep. It's like, go. And I get a new one. And I put it on my dolly, and I push back in the line. There's only like 10 people in front of me now. I get to the front of the line, and a woman comes from I said that really in a misogynistic way.
This woman, the audacity of her to exist.
A woman? Yeah, I know. All right, look. This older lady came up and was like, hey, excuse me. I have one question. Can I cut in line? And I'm like, really annoyed. And I'm like, not really. And she's like, I really just have one quick question. So then finally I'm like, fine. And so the way that it is, I want you to imagine an aisle, right?
I am imagining an aisle.
Okay. So imagine the aisle runs left to right horizontally.
Hold on. This is going to take some.
Fuck you. At the bottom of the aisle.
Okay, I got it. Left to right.
All right. So on the back side of the aisle, so the bottom, if you're drawing a rectangle with your hands, on the bottom, there are aisles going vertically. Okay?
Okay.
In front of that is the return area. But in the middle of the aisle, they've bisected it by putting like end cap stuff. in the middle of the aisle. So you're standing in the aisle vertically so that you're parallel with the aisles behind you, but you have to kind of go in an L shape. And the reason this is relevant is every single person that comes up to the line goes, "Is there a line?" And I'm like, "Yes, there, all the way back." And they can't fucking understand that there's a line. So this guy comes up and he goes, "Are you all waiting in line?" And I was like, "Yes." And I snapped at him. I was like, "Yes, we're all waiting in line. Yes." And then he goes behind me. He goes, "Are you waiting in line?" And I'm like, "Everyone's waiting in line." So then he's like, "Sorry." So then he gets back in the line at the end of the line, and then he's like, "I just have one quick thing." We all have one quick thing. We're all here to return something. Everybody here has a quick thing. It's because we all have a thing that it's going to take so long to get to the front. That's how lines are formed. The reason the line was 35 people is because that guy apparently is not a real person and doesn't have any valid ID.
He just got out of prison after a 25-year stint.
I don't fucking know. I don't know, dude. I don't fucking care. So I get up to the front. I get the other guy, right? The guy who was dealing with the ID guy. And he's like, "It's not working." I'm like, "What?" I was told I could get an exchange on the phone and then by this woman over here. And he goes, "Yeah, but your receipt's not scanning right." I'm like, "Scan it again." And he's like, "Nothing's coming up." And I look at it and I'm like, "It's not even fucking on." And he's like, "Oh, it died. Let me go get the other one." So then he gets the other one. Everything works. I'm like, "Okay, do I get a new receipt?" He goes, "Nope."
Whoa, hold on a second. You just said nope in a normal voice, and you didn't say it in the voice you were just doing for the dude.
What was the voice?
Oh,
Nope.
it died.
Oh, it died. Nope. So fucking, I get the new air conditioner. They take the old one. I get the new one. I put it on my dolly. I go out. I put it in my car, and then I drive home. All right.
And
when you buy a window air conditioner,
did you use your blinker while you were driving?
I did. Yeah.
Okay. Did you drive the speed limit?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't speed.
Okay. I just wanted to make, because these all seemed like they might have been pertinent facts for this story. But continue.
Okay. So I get home. All right, kids, this is my dad moment for you. Here's how you here's how you put together an air conditioner. You take the air conditioner out of the box. You have to put on the top rail. That's what stops it from falling out of the window and what keeps the accordions on the side in place, okay? There's 3 screws that you have to put on the top rail. You screw them in place. You can do it with a fucking regular Phillips head screwdriver. You don't need a drill or anything, or a screw gun, okay? You put them in place. Then you take the accordion material and you slot it in to the little brackets. Then you slide the brackets on the undermount rail, which is already installed, and then the top rail, okay? Then you have your window air conditioner.
You hear that, kids?
Takes 10 minutes, okay? Put that fucking thing in the window, plug it in, turn it on. Doesn't work. Doesn't blow cold air. I was so furious. So I go upstairs and I ask my mom, "Hey, can you go check to see if this air conditioner works?" She goes, "No, I thought you were returning it." And I said, "I did return it. This one doesn't work either." So I fucking take it apart, put it back in the box, throw some more shit on the box, take the box up, put it back on the dolly, fucking drive back to the Home Depot, and I get back in line.
You know, part of me, I'm sitting here, I don't know how this story is going to end, but hearing you go through 2, I'm starting to think that maybe the air conditioners aren't the issue, but I don't want you to reveal if that's the truth yet. Continue with your story. Okay. I just wanted to inject some audience commentary.
Fine. That's fine. You know what? That's good feedback. I know that this device works. I know this device works because we have one working right above it, right? Like, if you look at the exterior of my house, 6 feet above or 8 feet above where this air conditioner is, there's an identical air conditioner in a window above it, okay? So, like, I know that this air conditioner works.
No, they'd only sell them if they don't work. None of them must work.
I know. So I'm like, okay. And I just want to point out to all the electricians listening, the 1 or 2 of you that are listening, this is in addition, when I built this room, this outlet is specifically for an air conditioner. Nothing else goes in this outlet except the air conditioner, okay? It has its own slot on the fucking breaker. So it has its own slot on the panel box. I don't know what the electrician words are, but I know that specifically this outlet is for the air conditioner. So I get back in line, with the new one, because I learned my lesson. I get up to the front and he goes, "Hey, you're back." I'm like, "Yep." I go, "This one didn't work either." He goes, "Huh, that's weird." So he scans my receipt, whatever, and then he put it on the dolly, and I brought my dolly, okay? Because I'm not fucking lugging this thing around, okay? I'm fucking pissed off. So I put it on my dolly, I go through, and the fucking beeps go off. And, what do you do when the alarm at the store goes? You look around.
You drop to the floor, hands in the air.
Yeah, you look around, nobody's looking, no one's coming, you look to see an employee, and they usually shoo you away, or tell you you're fine, or whatever. So I'm standing there for like a minute, nobody's coming, so I wheel out into the parking lot. When suddenly, this fucking loss prevention officer starts hoofing it after me. And he's like, "Sir, I need to see your receipt." And I was like, "Okay." So I give him my receipt. And he goes, "I need you to come with me." And I was like, "What?" It's got one item on it, and it's the air conditioner. And I have the air conditioner. He goes, I said, "What, do you want me to turn on my pockets?" He goes, "No, you stole that dolly." And I looked at him, and I looked at my dolly, and I looked at him. Now, I love this dolly, okay? I bought it 10 years ago at this point, 8 years ago. I love this dolly, okay? It's a great dolly, never lets me down.
How often do you use this dolly?
Often.
For what?
Moving stuff, mostly.
What are you moving? Because I honestly rarely, if ever, use a dolly.
Do you have a ramp to your apartment?
No.
Okay, I do. So if I need anything out of my house, or if I need to get something out of the garage, or if I'm moving something heavy into the backyard, or we're doing any lawn work, or like groceries, for example.
You
right?
use a
Put the
dolly
groceries
to
on
get your groceries inside.
Yeah, for one trip.
You don't just grab them all and carry them in one hand?
We don't have plastic anymore, and you can't carry that many paper bags.
Then you use your... Oh, my gosh. Do you not have reusable bags?
Yes, I
handles?
do have reusable bags. I don't like them.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, go on.
I like how I'm solving the problem of multiple trips to the house by using my dolly, which I own. I didn't buy it for this purpose, so I don't have to... I buy 3 or 4 cases of water and cat litter a week.
Okay. Why are you buying so much water? What the fuck? Why are you buying so many disposable water bottles? That's so bad.
Well, it's better than drinking soda, which is what I used to do.
You should get yourself like... Not an iron flask, but like, because you don't need the brand name. Or I guess iron flask, I'm thinking hydro flask. Get yourself like a knockoff hydro flask.
Listen, I'm not trying to ruin any potential future sponsorship that we may or may not get. I have a Brita filter.
And
I have a Yeti.
Okay. And you use a ton of disposable water bottles over a Yeti with Brita?
I do.
Why?
Here's the thing. Okay, we're getting tangent.
Why?
Listen,
no, I'm tracking this down. Why?
Okay.
The air conditioning saga has a
do you
million
wanna
tangents.
know? Do you want to know?
I do want to know.
Okay. You can't handle the truth. Okay, listen. I used to drink a stupid amount of soda a day. I used to drink 4 or 5 20-ounce bottles a day, and sometimes I would drink as much as a case of cans a day of soda, of Diet Coke, specifically. Okay? I used to drink a ton of Diet Coke. Like, every single day, a ton of Diet Coke. Oh, it's not a diet. I didn't drink it because I thought it would make me lose weight. I liked the taste versus regular Coke and Pepsi. And my dad,
I'm with you there.
When he got diabetes, they told him he couldn't drink regular Pepsi anymore. So they told him he had to drink Diet Pepsi. I don't like Diet Pepsi. So he only drank Pepsi. When he died, I started drinking Coke and I like it better. You know, one of the silver lining. Sorry. Anyway, so... so... about a year ago, or I guess how I used to tell you all the time, it's about 9 months ago now, I stopped drinking soda. I cut it out completely, and I drank only water for 6 months. I know myself to know the second that it's not convenient to drink water, I will drink something else. So if it's not really too convenient for me to drink water, or it's not super easy, I will default and possibly go back to a bad habit. So to solve for this, I have my Brita filter, which is always full. I fill it every day. I have 2 Yetis, which I really love, which I have one right now. I have cases of Poland Springs brand water. I put a case in, I don't go through 4 cases a week. I go through maybe 1 or 2, and I buy every 2 weeks. I get more water. I use it to supplement the water from my Brita in case like I have to fill it up and the water's not cold, right? Because I don't want to go back to a bad habit. I understand that using this many water bottles is also a bad habit, but it's a better bad habit for my health than whatever. And I just would like to add, I recycle everything. I recycle cardboard, glass, cans, bottles. I take all the bottles back to be recycled. So I'm doing my part. I understand. But yes, that is the reason why I have and I buy so much water every week, because I'm trying to make sure that I don't go back on my bad habits. It's been 9 months. I haven't had a single sip of soda in 9 months.
That's awesome.
So much so.
That fact is awesome. I applaud you for that.
That's why when we went to GDQ and we were drinking, I did not have anything to mix with my whiskey. I just drank whiskey straight.
Nice. As a real goddamn American does.
I know. So where was I? Oh yeah, I'm being illegally detained by the fucking loss prevention officer because he thinks I stole my own dolly. So I'm like, okay, this is really simple. One, this is not any, and again, great dolly, love it, use it all the time. I would never call it a piece of shit because I really do like it. It's one of my favorite things I own. I'm like, I would not steal this piece of shit. It's dirty. It's clearly old. I never took the plastic off the base, so it's like peeling off on the bottom. It's got scuff marks and scratches. This is not a new dolly that I stole. This is not something owned by the Home Depot that I stole, okay? I bought it at Lowe's 8 years ago. It looks like a dolly you bought 8 years ago. Still in great shape. I take good care of it, but it's not a new dolly, okay? And it's stainless steel, which, even though it's stainless, it's scuffed up and has all these marks on it, right? It looks like an 8-year-old dolly.
It's the Cybertruck of dollies.
No. So, that is to say, I said, look, there's a really easy way to determine whether or not I stole this dolly. I was here today. I came here twice. So go back and watch me push this dolly in and push it out twice. So he rewound, and he found when I came in the second time that I came in with it. Then he says, wait a minute, you were here earlier. And he shows me pushing the dolly out as proof. And I said, go back 30 minutes, and you'll see me pushing it in. So he does, and then he's like, that doesn't mean you didn't come in another. I said, look, what? What?
Those clothes you're wearing. Who's to say you didn't come in here and steal those months ago?
Yeah. I was like, fuck. I didn't curse at him, but I was like, this motherfucker. In the time that he spent illegally detaining me, he could have actually stopped someone from stealing.
Am I being detained? I'm a sovereign citizen. Am I being detained?
Fuck off. I'm saying you can't keep me in the back room of a fucking Home Depot with no air conditioning, okay? They got Maury Povich on the damn TV.
Oh, God, that's a fate worse than hell.
That's on every waiting room in America. I don't know why, but it is. Okay, listen. I get cleared that I didn't steal the goddamn dolly, my dolly, and I get in the car, and I go home, and I put the air conditioner in, I put it together, put it in the window, I got down on both knees and said a prayer, plugged the fucking thing in. I'm not religious, by the way. I just wanted to hedge my bets. Plug the fucking thing in, thing turned on, and now, for a minute, I was like, have I been gaslighting myself? Because what if it actually has been blowing cold air this whole time? What if I just don't know what air conditioning feels like anymore? What if I was getting gaslit by an air conditioner? An old air conditioner I didn't own anymore. 2 of them. I plug it in, I turn it on, the thing kicks on, and it instantly is blowing like Arctic cold air. I was like, oh my God, thank God I was right. I wasn't being gaslit by the air conditioner. Ugh. So there you go. That's the air conditioning saga. Yeah.
Now, okay. I just want to go back because you said that you were going to get to the part where I was in it, and me being the narcissist that I am, I've been waiting for that part the entire time.
Okay, so in the middle of this, I'm trying to fix them, okay?
Yeah.
Here's what I know about air conditioning repair, okay? The coils can get iced over. And if they get iced over, that's one thing that you can try. The other reason that sometimes air conditioners stop being cold is the filter is dirty. There's a filter in the front of it. You pull it out, you clean it off. They basically all look exactly the same. So I cleaned all the air filters. They're not dirty on the inside of the case. So whatever. I took the outer case off, and in most cases I just cleaned everything. They still weren't working. Now, you might be thinking, oh, well, maybe it's the refrigerant, right? Maybe the refrigerant it has a leak or whatever. I had an air conditioner a couple years ago that had a refrigerant leak, and it makes this hissing sound, right? Because it's the sound of that whatever refrigerant, gas, material, whatever, coolant, escaping through a crack, right? So it's like a sound. There's nothing in there. There's no crack. It's not making a sound. Also, some people said, oh, maybe it ran out of refrigerant, and I think that's really unlikely because, as far as I understand, these window units are sent off with more refrigerant than they will use in their lifetime. Like, the components of the unit will fail before you get to the point where you run out of refrigerant, right? So I am talking to Tommy about it, and I said something to the effect of, I'm no one's engineer.
No,
okay?
I have the quote in front of me.
Okay.
I'm upstairs trying to fix this air conditioner. If only I were an engineer of some description. Instead, I'm just a dumbass with a screwdriver.
Yes. Okay. So I am just a dumbass with a screwdriver. Nothing that I've said in this conversation makes me anything other than that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you said, gonna let you in on a secret. Little secret. Most engineers are just dumbasses with screwdrivers.
Yeah.
What's wrong with the AC? And what's the AC model and unit? And then I said, I think there was a refrigerant leak, although I don't hear the trademark hissing sound I'd expect. There's no icing on the coils. The filter is clean. I think the issue may be an internal thermostat. It's not blowing hot air, it's just not cold.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this was bang bang, right? 12:25, 12:26, 12:27, okay?
Yeah.
At 12:34, you wrote, put ice in it and just replace the ice every 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was your advice.
Yeah, well, I mean, someone never sent me the AC model / unit, and I was going to use that to do some research.
Fuck off.
But, you know.
I'm Logan Roying you right there.
That's why I asked. I was going to help you. I was going to do some research, but you never sent it. So I was like, I put ice in it.
Throw a little blanket over it.
Yeah.
Put a little fence around it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Put ice in it and replace it I think that would turn the air pretty cool.
Trying to contain this thing is like trying to make oatmeal cry. Why would you do that?
Is that something you said?
No, that's from Bravest Warriors.
Bravest
Catbug.
Warriors?
Yeah, you never saw that show?
No.
You don't know Catbug?
Nope.
All right.
Bravest Warriors. What is this? Drama.
Catbug.
4 seasons. It's an animated series set onwards from the year 3085. It follows 4 teenage heroes for
Toonage, yep.
4 tunas as they warp across the Black Sea to save dolphins and their ocean from. What is this show, CJ?
Well, you were on the right path and then you steered into the tuna bit. Catbug. I don't know, it's the Catbug show.
I have never heard of this. This show, one might say, has been a secret to me. CJ, do you have any other secrets?
Don't you produce me.
Get fucked.
Yes, I have a surprise. I have an announcement. You don't know what it is.
Okay. I'm ready for it.
No, you know you don't know what it is.
Okay. I'm ready for it.
I told you to put it on the show notes, and what did I say on the show notes?
CJ secret announcement.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm
that
ready
Tommy
for it.
doesn't know about.
I'm ready for it.
So we are quickly approaching a milestone here. We're quickly approaching the 10th episode of
shit.
The Film is Okie Dokie. Okay.
Did you get me a Letterman jacket?
No, I didn't.
Damn it.
Dang, diggity, dang. Okay. So
did you just grease me? Fine. Was that grease?
No.
Okay.
I don't know where that's from. Heather's. Shut up, Heather. Sorry, Heather. Okay. What are we talking about?
We're rapidly approaching. CJ's running on very little sleep right now, I should say.
I didn't sleep. I didn't sleep last night.
CJ is in delirious mode at the moment, we should say.
Okay. I'm Twilight CJ, y'all.
You're talking about we're rapidly approaching the 10th episode. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So we are rapidly approaching the 10th episode, and the 10th episode is going to be a regular episode, and we might talk about what the movie of that episode will be next episode. Hint, hint, we will. But I'm not here to announce what the movie is, okay? I'm here to say that because it's a milestone episode, we're going to do, and I haven't talked to Tommy about this, so he could say no, but he's not going to.
I got my veto stamp ready.
Yeah, okay. We are going to do a supplemental episode about the hit TV series Succession.
Oh.
Yes. So you've watched it, you love it.
Yeah.
I am watching it right now, and I'm almost finished.
Yeah.
I don't love it.
Okay.
We're gonna have it out in a special supplemental podcast about the hit TV series Succession.
Do I have to rewatch anything?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. You don't want to, you're telling me you don't want to self-contain that to one of these episodes and just have it be a 4-hour episode?
No.
Boo.
I also don't want to, for people that haven't seen it or don't want to see it, I don't want to make the episode about Succession.
Then what we do is we just put it in the show notes. Hey, skip from 45 minutes to 2 hours and 45 minutes to skip all Succession talk.
I like how this is actually no more or less work for you. We're just arguing about the presentation of it.
Well. More or less work. When you say supplemental, that would imply it's an episode like 10, then 10 and a half, then 11. So to me, that sounds like an extra episode crammed in there. That sounds like extra work to me.
Yeah, but it's the same amount of work if you were to have it be contained inside of 10.
Agree to disagree.
All right, I'll edit that one. I'll edit the supplemental.
Awesome.
Yeah, okay. I'll volunteer as tribute to edit the supplemental.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, so there you go. So there's going to be a special supplemental episode released after episode 10, before episode 11 on the show Succession. We're going to be talking about it. We're going to be talking about the premise. I think if you haven't seen it and you have no interest in seeing it, and you just want to hear our sultry voices and then argue about the show, we'll be able to walk you through basically the broad strokes of every season and then talk about what we think of the show.
Oh,
and
God.
if people like it, we can do supplementals in the future.
It's been so long since I've seen like the first 2 seasons of that show. Oh, geez, I'm going to have to brush up.
You don't have to brush up. You'll be okay.
I'm going to have to brush up.
I'll drive the bus.
Okay.
But you can brush up if you want.
Okay.
No pressure on the brushing.
Oh, I'm going to brush. I'm going to brush so much.
Do you floss?
Yeah, every night.
I bet you fucking do.
I flossed in front of you at GDQ.
You really did.
CJ, let's stop
Heathers.
burying the lead here. Yeah, let's talk about Heathers a bit. Have you seen Heathers?
Quit producing me.
Have you seen Heathers?
No.
What do you know about this movie? Let's start there.
Nothing? Do I know anything about Heathers?
Possibly not.
Oh, wait a minute.
Are you realizing now you've seen this movie?
No, I know the thing I quoted earlier was from Heathers the musical.
Yeah, I was going to talk about Heathers the musical in a little bit.
I think I've seen parts of the musical.
Okay.
Martha Dumptruck in the flesh.
Yeah, good old Martha.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, Heathers, I had never even heard of this movie before just a few months ago. I didn't really know the premise.
Talk about the premise.
I will in a moment.
I'm producing you.
I will in a moment. Get off my ass, producer. See, that's what you do to producers, CJ.
We'll do it live.
You're ruining the artistic integrity of this show.
Fuck it. We'll do it live.
So I had never heard of this movie, and my partner Jade, she said it's one of her favorites, so we watched it. I went in completely blind. I was so into it. Like, I feel like when she framed it to me, or initially, she was like, I'm not sure if you'll like it. And like 20 minutes in, if even, I turned to her, I'm like, I'm really fucking digging this movie. This movie, I don't want to really spoil the premise too much. I'll talk a little bit about the premise before we really get into it, because CJ, I'd like you to go in more blind than not.
Oh, no, I'm totally fine going blind. I was doing the producer.
Yeah, it's, I guess the premise,
I don't want to know anything.
You don't want to know anything?
No.
Okay, well, I just have a couple things I wanted to touch on.
All right, how about I'll take my headset off and you can tell the audience.
Sure.
All right.
I'll send you a message when it's clear.
Okay, good.
Okay. This movie, first off, it's fantastic. I'm going to spoil for you guys right now while CG can't hear it. This is an okie dokie movie if I've ever watched one. It's really morbid and dark humor, and it's like kind of a cynical satire of like John Hughes movies like Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, 16 Candles. It's kind of parody of all of that, but it's a bit more I don't want to say realistic, but it's, like I said, more cynical. It has more of an edge to it, like teenagers often do. They're not these polished creatures. Like, not that those characters in those John Hughes movies aren't flawed, but they don't have much of an edge to them like in this movie. So there's that. This movie is also crazy timeless in two factors. One, it's the subject matter is so relevant today, which I should say this movie is more or less about this woman, this teenage girl played by Winona Ryder. She is friends and part of a clique at this high school with three other girls, and all three of those girls are named Heather, and they are horrible people. And this dude shows up at school played by Christian Slater, and he hates the world. He kind of tries to start convincing Winona Ryder to start killing them all. So there's a lot to do in this movie about suicide and just like a lot of fucked up shit that teenagers deal with and have to try and navigate in their lives that especially today are really talked about that weren't back in 1988 when this movie came out. Another reason why this movie is so timeless, though, is the writer for it, Daniel Waters. He came up with a bunch of just random slang to be incorporated in this movie just so that the movie never feels dated. All right, I think that's about. Let me message CJ. Tell CJ to get back in here.
All right, I'm back.
Welcome back. You're just in time for me to talk about the adaptations of this movie.
Oh, all right.
There's two adaptations. The musical, like CJ mentioned, I'll talk about that more in the post show. They also made a TV show apparently of it, but it was not well received, so that stopped immediately. But yeah, that's about all I have for the pregame of this. CJ,
Okay.
You got anything else you want to pregame to with this movie?
I just want to make sure you're not mad at me,
I'm furious at you.
Oh, okay.
I'm always mad, CJ. That's my little secret. All those times I DM you, I'm so furious at you.
Damn, okay.
You got nothing else?
No.
All right.
Oh, the only thing I know about the IP known as Heathers is dang, dang, diggity, dang, dang, because it was a TikTok song.
Okay.
So that's all I know. I'm guessing they don't say it in the movie.
I couldn't tell you. I've only seen both this movie and the musical once, so I couldn't tell you.
I had a thought while I was waiting for you to ping me.
Yeah.
I think we mentioned Jade in every episode, and I think it'd be funny if we had a time to Jade marker, because this is a Jade recommendation by proxy of you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think it'd be funny if someone went, not us, but a dedicated listener went through and found time to Jade.
What do you mean by that? Every time she's mentioned about?
No. The first time she's mentioned, how long it takes for us to mention Jade.
Oh, okay. It's a game. I see.
Yeah.
That's.
I have no problem. I just want to be clear.
Yeah.
I'm not drinking the haterade. I was just watching someone fold origami, and I was like, wait a minute, that's kind of funny. We do that a lot.
What, fold origami? I've never folded origami with you. What are you talking about?
What about origami? Have you ever done origami? Can you tie a knot in a cherry stem?
I mean,
I know you can tell me about Leif Erikson.
give me the long enough stem and yeah, I could.
Do you know all the words to De Colores?
No.
Are you proud to be an American?
Wait, what is De Colores?
Have you ever seen a platypus?
Yeah.
Have you ever made a comic book?
No.
Oh, I guess you don't know how long it took.
What are you talking about?
I can ride my bike with no handlebars.
Oh, are you quoting that song?
Yeah.
That the guy made a diss track to like Logan Paul about?
Really?
Yeah. Logan Paul it was in the middle of the pandemic. Like everyone was fully losing their minds. Logan Paul put out a song, was like, I think it was like, I can ride your chick with no handlebars or something. And it was just like,
why would you need handlebars?
I could be misremembering it, but he made some reference to that song. And then the singer of that band or whatever, the guy who wrote that song, he put out a diss track to Logan Paul, kind of centering around that, but
okay,
totally unrelated.
All right, so thank you everybody for listening to the pre-show portion of the podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, we are going to pause. If you want to stop your podcast, Are you producing me again?
Producing.
The description. This is the podcast where we produce each other. So if you would like to stop and listen to the companion audio track commentary for the movie Heathers, You can stop the podcast right now.
If I did, I probably wouldn't mind talking to the Geek Squad.
Oh, you fucker. Is that where Geek Squad came from? Because our group chat is Tommy and the Geek Squad.
Yeah. Well, it's the Geek Squad plus Tommy. Let's get it right. You know, I'm the and credits with Woody Harrelson and Tommy.
I'm I'm a repertory player.
You're more ensemble.
Go to hell.
Hello and welcome back to the Film is Okie Dokie. CJ, how you doing?
It has been a few days, and I now feel like I don't have to pee anymore.
Oh, good. I actually just peed for the first time in a couple days a moment ago, so I also
Really?
do not feel like I have to pee anymore.
Is that a real thing?
Yeah, of course. You don't know this about me? I only pee once every 3 days.
Hang on. Time out. Is this real?
What do you think, CJ?
No. Why would you? Okay. Yeah, you'd die.
Of course, I would explode.
Yeah, from the pee.
From the pee, yeah. I would explode into a small little piss mushroom cloud.
All right, calm down.
What?
Are they
Calm down about what?
Question, are they making another Bad Boys? Is there another Bad Boys movie?
Yes, Bad Boys Ride or Die.
Oh my god, you're going to use the AMC pass for that one.
I see, it's funny you say that because I was considering it, but I've never seen a Bad Boys movie.
Well, you got 3 movies.
Exactly. I'm like, well, now I gotta watch those. Except, I was looking at this week's releases. There's some other movies I might want to check out. So I'm not in a rush to go out and see Bad Boys Ride or Die. You know what's crazy? Side note: there's 3 Bad Boy movies out, right?
Yeah.
They called the third one Bad Boys for Life.
Yes. I don't think that they plan on making another Bad Boys.
But even if they weren't, you would think that something would be like, guys, maybe we hold off on the title with 4 in it and just call it Bad Boys 3.
Isn't that a situation like there's like a Leprechaun movie which is like Leprechaun Back to the Hood?
Yeah, Leprechaun in the Hood.
Yeah, which I think is like not. I think it's like the 8th movie or something.
It's the 5th, I believe.
Also, so there's a drive-in up here, drive-in theater, and it's really cool. If you came up here in the summer, I would totally take you there. But this weekend, the new owners have been doing a lot of old shows, like doing like old movies, and so this weekend is The Matrix into Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, which sounds pretty cool. I wish I would go, but I'm not going to.
Why won't you?
So it's like an hour.
What do you mean? Wait, it's like an hour away?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I would argue that's not even by you then. I grew up with drive-ins in my area and there really aren't any now. I'm sure I could find one like an hour away, but I wouldn't consider that by me. Like, you know. I
consider basically an hour in any direction by me. Like an hour in the city is far, you know? Like you're passing other stuff on the way. If you're going to something that you don't have near you, it's not that bad. I guess I'm just used to driving, you know?
Gotcha.
All right, so did you remember to swap your headphones?
Fuck! Quick, vamp for time!
Vamp. So shout out to everybody who's listening to this podcast. I hope that you either have seen Heather's already or you've enjoyed listening to the supplementary material that we put out. So yeah, there you go. And what else am I doing? I'm fiddling with a bottle cap and a hair tie. And I'm wondering what cool shapes I can make with this, what cool machinations in my mind I can craft with these 2 things while I fidget with them while we record.
I'm back.
All right, you're back?
Yes.
All right,
I have my new headphones.
That's good. So you sent me a package, actually.
Yes.
So you sent me a package. I have it right here. Hang on.
Yes.
A little ASMR.
Oh, wow, look at that. That's some texture.
Yeah, some audio texture. I don't know what it is. I have not opened it.
Good.
You want me to open it now? You told me to
no,
wait.
No, not yet. I don't want you to open it this second.
Okay.
First, I want you to guess, what do you think is in the package?
So, for those that don't know, this is a envelope. Probably like 2 standard envelopes on top of each other. That's how wide it is. And it feels like a regular envelope length. So it's basically like a brown paper double envelope. It's glued on one side, and it's remarkably flat. Like it's less than an inch. Way less than an inch. Probably like a 1/4 of an inch in thickness.
How much does it weigh?
Well, I have my scale in the other room, but
Just hefting it about.
less than a pound.
It's pretty light.
Yeah, the contents of it are probably like the packaging weighs more than whatever's inside, for sure.
I would agree with that.
It feels malleable, like it feels like the envelope will bend and whatever's in there is also shifting around. But I have no context on what it is.
Okay. So what do you think it is?
I have no idea.
We need a guess. We need
how
guesses.
how about a cow do-rag?
A cow do-rag.
Or like a face mask with a cow on it.
A face mask with a cow on. You don't have... Are you just coming up with that in this moment, or is that something that you've been sitting on?
No, I'm vamping. I thought it
Okay.
was a toy cow until I got the package, and now I don't know what it is.
Okay. Gotcha. Because I thought you had
I
mentioned
think it's
to Jade
cow
that-
related.
Okay,
I
you think
think-
it's cow related. Gotcha.
I think we're gonna continue with the bossy flossy thing. That's what I think.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
You think that Bossy Flossy is going to be this joke that we just continually run into the ground, and it's
Let me put
a
it this
staple?
way. Let me put it this way. If we were going to have merch right now, right this minute, all we have is bossy and flossy.
I don't know about that.
Oh, what? Like me doing a Die Hard?
Oh, now that's good. That's a good shirt idea.
Yeah, that is a good shirt idea. hey, send us your shirt ideas
Oh God.
at thefilmisokidoki@gmail.com.
Yes, that is our email. The film is okidoki@gmail.com.
I got really lucky. Okay.
I feel like you probably should have mentioned that before. I'm realizing now. Isn't
No,
that a
no,
thing
no.
people? Okay. So, cow do-rag is our final guess.
Cow do-rag, cow face mask.
Cow face mask. Okay. CJ, you can open the package when you are ready.
All right, I'm going to open it. I'm going to open it in front of the mic. You ready? It's closed very well.
You can thank the employee at the UPS store for that.
It's very glued. Okay. Let me get a good rip here for the audience. All right, that's a
There's
good
been
rip.
plenty of good rips. Don't worry.
Okay. I have it in my hands. I haven't pulled it out of the thing yet.
So you just feel it.
I just feel it. Yep.
Okay.
It's very small. It is a very big package compared relative to its size.
This is true.
All right, I feel it. It's like a chain of some description. Okay, I'm gonna pull it out now. You ready?
Yeah.
It's a melon baller keychain.
It's a melon baller keychain.
I love that. Look at that.
It's just like Twilight CJ described.
It exists?
No. Well, one exists now.
Okay.
Jade actually made this for you.
She made this?
Yes. She and I went to the store and we saw a melon baller there and she bought it and modified it and turned it into a keychain. She cut the tip of the melon baller off and attached a keychain to it.
Wow.
Yeah.
She metal worked it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, there you go. Now you'll always have a melon baller with you for when you can't find your main one.
I know.
And you're like, man, I gotta ball some pineapple because I'm a sociopath who balls pineapple.
Or honeydew.
Or I'm even bigger sociopath and I like honeydew.
I don't know why I'm being judged so harshly, but all right. Thank you so much for the very thoughtful gift. I love it. Dude, Buddy is all over me trying to get this melon baller keychain. Not a joke. He is going hard in the paint. He loves the smell of my hand. He's trying to climb up onto the desk.
You're going to have... I forgot to take a picture of it after Jade had made it and I went to ship it. So I think you're going to have to take a nice close-up picture of it and we will have to share it somehow.
Yeah, exactly. I guess, if we're not going to do the bossy flossy idea, we could just have Jade make melon baller keychains.
Perfect. We'll have her quit her job and she can just make melon baller keychains full-time.
Hey, listen, I think that's a good use of her time.
You said it.
Hey, melon baller keychains are a very noble cause.
I know that you are holding one and one exists now. I do not see the necessity for it.
Well, it's because I've always been a big picture thinker and you're not.
You're a visionary. You're a trailblazer. I'm just in your dust.
A little bit, yeah.
I don't know about that. But I wanted to tell the story about when I went to ship this.
Okay.
A few days ago or a week ago, I had sent you a screenshot of a text message I had with Jade. And in it was a voice note that I had sent her. And the transcription, iPhone iMessage now will transcribe the voice note. And you could see the preview of it. And I said, by the way, like, I needed to tell you about what happened at UPS. I was talking specifically about when I shipped this.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the UPS store. And the employee who was helping me, first, they're like, how can I help you? And I'm just like, I just need to ship this little guy. And I hand over the Melon Baller keychain. Like, it's really small, guys. It's really small.
It's smaller than my thumb.
Yeah, it's not too big. It's perfect for a compact like it could fit in your pocket.
Yeah,
you know?
On your keychain.
Exactly. So the employee puts it on the scale and it's like 0.4 ounces. That's why I was like, CJ, how much would you say it weighs?
Yeah.
Because they ask you for insurance purposes or something what you're shipping, a description of what you're shipping. And she's like, what are you shipping? And I just go, a melon baller, I guess. And she just visually is stifling a laugh as I'm like, I guess a melon baller keychain. So the Melon Baller keychain at least gave joy to another person as well.
Hey, listen, that's awesome. I'm glad that we have spread laughter through the world.
Of course.
Yeah.
Now, imagine if I had to ship an edible butt plug.
Well, listen, that's
the
just
next
a
thing
butt
to be
plug.
on the lookout for.
Please don't send me a butt plug.
I'm going to take to Jared Leto's methods and send you used condoms and shit.
No. Stop. Why are people so awful? Why?
Because they ain't got melon ballers in their lives.
Bro, I'm telling you, I'm not joking. Buddy is fucking up my ass over this melon. He is trying to climb into my lap.
CJ, we sent you the melon baller, not the butt plug.
I know, dude. He's over the melon baller. He's over it.
But why'd you put the melon baller up your ass?
I didn't. Oh God, stop it. He is harassing me over this. He really.
That's funny.
I don't know why. It's because it smells like you guys. I have no idea why he's so into it.
It must be all the heroin we rubbed on the butt melon baller before shipping it.
Hey now. Hey now. All right. Stop. God damn it. You know, the Garfield movie came out.
It did. Did you go see that?
No, I'm not going to. But are you going to go see it?
No. Well,
yes.
I was considering it.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, I came close to seeing it, but I did not.
Did you see If?
I did not see If. Are you trying to guess what movie I'm alluding to? In the show notes,
No.
I have a note. Tommy watched the worst movie in history. You're not trying to guess that?
No. I was going to get there.
Okay.
I was remembering this thing, like, Bill Murray signed on to do Garfield. And he only signed on to do Garfield because he saw it was written by, I think it was like Ethan Cohen.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I really want to work with the Coen brothers. That sounds great. And it turned out it was Cohen, Cohen, Cohen.
Yeah.
And that's not the
Coen.
Coen brothers. And
Right.
so he was like, oh, well, he was already signed up to do the Garfield movie, so he did it. And then they're like, he was like, hey, we want to do a second one. He's like, I'll do it if I get to fucking fix the shit. Because it was so awful. And so that's how they got Bill Murray to do Garfield twice. I don't know if that story is all the way true, but that's what I've always heard. And so I'm, when the legend becomes better than the truth, print the legend. So there you go. That's a fun story.
I never saw those old ones. Is Garfield A Tale of Two Kitties noticeably better than just Garfield?
No, they're both
2004?
Yeah,
bummer.
They're not great.
Bummer.
Yeah. So look, you have on here on the list, you're going to talk about the worst movie ever made. I'm sure we'll get there, but I want to talk about, we were talking the other day about movies we walked out of, and you had said you would never walk. Did we talk about this on the podcast or just us talking?
Just us talking.
Okay, this is relevant. So we were talking about movies that we walked out of, and you said you would never walk out of a movie. You never would.
Never.
You would never have, and you never would.
Never.
And I'm telling you this. I was the same exact way until I found a movie that I could not finish. And then I became that person. And after the first time you do it, it's real easy to do it again, right? Once you do it once, then the Band-Aid's ripped off. Now you have no point of pride. Now you just do it, right? Your time is more important than your money, but you have to do it the first time. The first time I walked out of a movie twice. And both of those movies I would never want to see ever again.
Okay.
I don't think that they're the worst movies ever made, but this is my sequitur to your story, right?
Okay.
Okay. So the first movie, I just want to make sure I get the title right, because it was pretty bad, and I don't want to accidentally cast this onto someone else. Okay, the movie was called Julie and Julia. I walked out of that movie with like 40 minutes to go.
Isn't this like a pretty beloved movie?
I don't know if it's beloved. I thought it was shit.
Like this movie? This movie is sitting at a certified fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
It was shit. I don't give a fuck. That movie was fucking stupid. The premise of the movie is that someone's like, I'm gonna try and recreate Julia Child's recipes in 2002, and I'm gonna do a blog. And then they're like, hey Julia, what do you think of this blog project? And she was like, it's fucking shit. And then she's like, oh my god, I'm so terrible, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, that's when I walked out. I don't know how the movie ends. I got to that part and we walked out. I was like, wow, the whole movie's a love letter to Julia Child. I think the direction it was going was, she was like, oh yeah, I still like Julia Child, even if she thinks my work is stupid. And it's like, okay, you're stupid. This movie's stupid. Goodbye. Also, it has a unremarkable appearance. It has an unremarkable performance by Amy Adams in a relationship with Stanley Tucci. And I think he was born... Yeah, they're 15 years apart. Not a relatable relationship. That's not good. Oh, wait, that was Julia Child's husband. Wait a minute. That's even worse, because that's another 15 years. Meryl Streep is 15 years older than Stanley Tucci. Nah, I don't like any of this. So yeah, that was stupid. Never saw the end of that.
I feel like you're burning some bridges somewhere saying you don't like this movie.
Guess what? When I walked into that movie, I thought it snowed in the movie theater because it was a bunch of old white-haired people. A bunch of blue-haired old women watching this movie.
Blue-haired? Wait, what?
Yeah. Blue hair is like old lady, old biddy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they don't actually have blue hair.
Old biddy?
Yeah.
You call old women old biddy?
Old biddy, yeah.
Old biddy.
Yeah. What are they going to do? Fucking run me down on their stair lifts? If you like this movie, are you 78?
You mentioned...
Everyone that I saw this movie with in the theater is fucking dead, dude. That's what I'm trying to say.
Man, I've seen movies that I was by far the youngest person in the theater and I didn't walk out.
Fine. That's fine. This movie came out in 2009.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that was 15 years ago.
Uh-huh.
The youngest person there besides me was in their 70s. Everyone in that movie theater is dead.
Wow. You're calling your shot?
Guarantee. I'm not going to be able to do a census on that, but yes, everyone in there is dead.
That's why we're leaving it up to you loyal listeners at home to track down and dox all of the people who were in the theater with CJ.
Look, this doesn't have to be a thing, but fuck that movie. The other movie I walked out of, so I walked out of that movie in 2009, okay? And this movie also has an ampersand in the title. Every movie I've ever walked out of has an ampersand in it. It's Pain and Gain with Mark Wahlberg and Dwayne Johnson and Anthony Mackie and Tony Shalhoub. What a fucking piece of shit movie this was. When did I walk out of this? 2013. So I haven't walked out of a movie in 11 years. This movie was fucking boiled ass. Okay? This movie was no good. I didn't get far. I don't think I even got halfway.
See, it's funny you say that because you mentioned, I'm remembering now that you mentioned this movie to me when we were talking the other day that you walked out of this. I think it's probably good that you didn't walk out of that you did walk out of this movie because knowing your tolerance with certain things, I don't think you would have liked this movie, because from what I understand, this movie is incredibly gory. Like, they cut dudes up and hide their bodies and stuff like that.
Okay. I'm not saying, like, oh, I couldn't have made it to the end. But I got to the part where they're in the rubber dick factory. And that's when I gave up. When they started, all the rubber dicks started coming out. And I was like, Jesus Christ, this is a stupid Michael Bay movie. This doesn't even have the benefit of, like, cool Michael Bay stuff. Why is this all about rubber dicks and beating people up and whatever? Tony Shalhoub with a rubber dick, right? So I was like, get the fuck out of here. I walked out of that movie. There were people waiting in line to see it after me because it had just come out. And I said, yeah, spoiler alert, there's a bunch of rubber dicks in there, and a bunch of people got out of line.
Wow.
Yep.
You're that person?
I was pretty unhappy.
Wow.
There's nothing against rubber dicks, but I just don't want to see Monk get battered around by like an 8-foot rubber dick.
I mean, anything can be good, though.
Here's the thing. Rated R movies have a weird problem. Rated R movies require advertising, the same as all other movies. They have a niche audience insofar that not everyone is going to be able to go see a rated R movie. That it's restricted to adults without children, which is not a significant portion of the movie-going audience. And because of that, especially back then when advertising like trailers and stuff I think was more important than it is now, you can't show what happens in the movie, right? Because you can't show any of that stuff on TV. You can't show beating people up with rubber dicks. You can't show someone getting, like, tortured, like, actively tortured in a movie trailer that goes out on television. You just can't do it. So you end up in a situation where I thought the movie was going to be like, they were going to rob from this guy, like a heist movie. That is not what happened. That's not what the movie's about. That's not what the movie's about at all. So there you go. Dumb.
I would just call that uncreative marketing.
Well, that happens.
I'm just talking about walking out of movies. It just reminds me, my dad and stepmom went and saw the movie Jojo Rabbit on my recommendation.
Uh-huh.
Which, phenomenal movie.
Phenomenal movie. I love that movie.
They walked out of it, not far into it, because my dad said, quote, it was a Hitler puff piece.
Ha!
And I'm just like, what?
That's one way. That's one way to view it.
What? Oh my God. But no, I would never walk out of a movie. Never. Even the movie that I saw that is like the worst movie I've ever seen, I would not have walked out of it.
Yeah.
I want to see the full thing. I want to see how this fully goes. I want to see it out. Maybe it saves it in the end. At the worst, I can say, guys, I saw a horrible movie that I wish I walked out of, but I'm never going to walk out of a movie. Not unless
because you're not a visionary like me.
Because I'm not a visionary?
Yeah.
No, it's because I keep an even head in moments of duress. And I'm just like, you know what? I can power through this. I don't need to make a rash decision.
Excuse you, are you saying something about my character that I don't say even keeled in moments of duress?
We're not even going to start talking about what we started talking about the other night in terms of places you've been banned from.
Wow. You just went out and said it, didn't you?
Yeah.
All right, fine. Fine. We don't have to talk. We're not going to talk about it. We'll save that for the future. Can't believe that.
We don't. I'm just saying.
Put that on blast.
Just saying.
Everybody's banned from somewhere.
I am not banned from one place.
That's not true.
I am not banned from
You're
one place.
banned from here now. How about that?
It is not a normal thing to be banned from places.
It is.
It is not. One is not a normal thing to be banned from a place, let alone 12.
Wow. And then you said the number.
Just dropping breadcrumbs.
Fine. Now we have to talk about it next episode. I hope you're happy.
No, just someday. We'll talk about it someday. When it's relevant. When it's relevant to a movie.
When it's relevant to a movie.
When we watch like Any Which Way But Loose or something. Something with fights.
The hell is that?
Any Which Way But Loose. It's an old Clint Eastwood movie where he's best friends with an orangutan.
All right, so moving on. What is the worst movie in the history of you watching movies?
I just watched over this weekend Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Oh, God.
Do you know anything about this movie?
I was like ready to throw down with you because Winnie the Pooh is a goat. And then I'm like, what the fuck is Blood and Honey?
You're not familiar?
I don't know, no.
It is a indie movie that came out just last year using public domain Winnie the Pooh and Piglet.
So like the
And it's a horror
shitty
movie.
doll-based ones, right?
Well, in this movie, they're played by humans in costumes of them wearing rubber masks.
Okay.
This is a horror movie. The sole reason why anyone would want to see this is because of the novelty of seeing Winnie the Pooh and Piglet in a horror movie. There are zero redeeming qualities about this movie otherwise. I love bad movies. I really do. You guys heard me exclaim and proclaim how much fun I had with Armageddon. I love bad movies, especially bad horror movies. One of my favorite movies is called Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead. And it's horrible. It's horrible. But I have a soft spot for those movies because they're just so bad. I just take a lot of pleasure in watching something so bad, especially when they're aware of it. They know what they're making. This movie did not feel like they knew what they're making. It is hands down the worst written movie I have ever seen. No character motivations make any sense. And it all just serves the purpose of we get to see Winnie the Pooh and Piglet in this setting. There's characters who show up out of nowhere who are like literally we're just introduced to a character who appears out of nowhere. Characters have many times. I guess I should go back. The movie's like 3/4 of the way done, and they just introduce a new woman who's been there the whole time being tortured. It's just like, why? What's the point of her? Why don't we use an existing character for this? You know, that woman, I'm just going to spoil this movie. She's been tied up and been being battered by Piglet. Piglet's just like beating the shit out of her. And they free her, not even to mention all this stupid shit in the scene, like they take way too long to untie her and everything like that. They have a whole conversation with her while she's tied up and then untie her, but they untie her way too quickly. And like she goes, instead of fleeing for her life, she goes up to a window and looks at her reflection in it. And she's like, oh my God, look at what Piglet did to me, because her face is all bloody. And she's like, he's going to pay for this. And she's like, gotta get revenge on Piglet now for mutilating her face. And this movie also takes place in the UK, and they just have an enormous Magnum revolver that would like blow a fist-sized hole through anyone. First off, that's got to be so hard to get a hold of in England. But like, she has it, and like, I wish we could do this movie on this podcast, but I would not subject you to it, CJ. It's just this movie, if we were to watch it on here, I would say instead of our typical format for the post show of this, we would be walking through this movie scene by scene and just talking about all the stupid shit in every individual scene.
Probably. But we would never watch it.
It is so bad. I mean, not until you give the okay.
Never.
We're missing out on so much gold, CJ.
Listen, that's fine. If you want to do a horror movie so fucking bad one week, we'll get someone to tag in. You can. I'll take a break. I don't need to be on. I don't have vanity. I'll take a week off. Right? I'm just saying, it ain't me. It ain't me doing the horror movie. It ain't for me. So.
And if you want to do Renaissance Man again, we can do the same thing. I'll tag out.
Why would I ever do that again?
Because you seem to claim it's a fine movie.
It was fine, but I understand. Also,
fine is such an over-exaggeration.
Well, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing and why you're doing it, but you need to stop.
That's right. This whole tangent on Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey is just another opportunity for me to dunk on Renaissance Man.
Yeah? You're saying that it's worse than Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey?
No. Oh, Lord, no. Renaissance Man is at least 3 times as good as that movie.
Well, that's good then. All right. So, speaking of movies that are at least 3 times as good as something, we watched Heathers.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. So
yeah, CJ, let's hear a little bit about it.
That movie, I said this to you the other day when we were talking. That movie, if we had done the post show right after we recorded, or even the day after, I probably would have been like, it was fine, it was good, you know. But the more time that I've had to think about it, I think I really liked it.
That's so good to hear.
Like, the longer that I was able to sit on this, the more my brain liked it. I think that's like a big thing for me, is just like, I think over time, the more I thought about my thoughts and how I felt about it, it's like, yeah, it was good. Like, good enough that I would watch it again relatively soon.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Well, obviously you've seen it before, but what did you think?
I thought it was even better this time than the first time I watched it. I think this is a really, really good movie. I think that if you have not seen this movie, you really should check it out. I think that it's incredibly relevant considering its subject matter and what it has to say about certain things. It's crazy to think that this movie came out over 30 years ago, 35 years ago, and this movie has certain messages that are so relatable today and so in
Yeah,
vogue.
don't blow up your school, kid. Killing yourself, not good.
Exactly.
Except nobody killed themselves.
Hey, whoa. We're not there yet. Get out of here with that spoiler talk. We're not there yet.
Or did they?
There you go. You saved it.
Yeah.
No, this is a great movie. It's really well written. The performances are great. The themes are really great. It's very funny. It's a very funny movie. It's very dark. The humor, I personally find the humor to land constantly throughout this movie, even small little things, which we'll talk about later and I'll call out in the recap. There's just so many small little jokes in here that just come and go really quick. It's just a good movie.
Yeah. I agree with everything that you said.
Good. Well, that's it for today,
Yep.
folks.
All right. Yeah, let's get to the rec room.
All right. Time to recap this movie. You ready for this, CJ?
Yes. No. Yes. Yes.
All right. Feel free to jump in at any time.
Croquet, motherfucker.
So this movie takes place in Ohio, and it follows students at a high school called Westerberg High School. And this is a school where cliques run rampant. There's jocks and dorks and stoners, and every clique, there's a very structured hierarchy, very exaggerated and slightly heightened reality. And at the top of this food chain at this school are the Heathers. That there are 3 Heathers: Heather Chandler, Heather Duke, and Heather something with an M. Heather McNamara.
McNamara.
However it's pronounced. I don't know.
McNamara?
McNamara. I've never met anyone with that last name, so I've never actually had to learn to say it.
Wow, you've only seen that word in pictures before, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the Heathers are, like I said, the top of this food chain. The main Heather wears red. The other 2 wear green and yellow, respectively. They each have their own color, and it's their whole deal is their color scheme. They are they're tyrants. They are tyrants in this high school. They are bitchy and mean and the worst, but they are the popular people. What they say goes. It's truly King Shark situation, right? But there's a 4th member of this friend group, Veronica, played by Winona Ryder. And she has pretty much, before the events of this movie, we're kind of just thrown into this whole thing, and we work this out. But there's no point in delaying the reveal of what the whole deal is, because it's not like it's a twist. Veronica is friends with the Heathers because Veronica has the ability to forge pretty much anyone's handwriting. So the Veronicas use this for their favor, and in turn, Veronica gets to be a part of their friend group and be at the top of the food chain in this high school. She doesn't get endlessly bullied and picked on, and it's just a feeding frenzy. Like I said, it's a heightened reality of a high school. Everyone is fair game. Everyone gets picked on, everything like that. So Veronica is a friend of theirs. Veronica's main color is blue. She starts off the movie wearing mostly black, but over time she kind of starts dressing more with blue pronounced. But anyway, so the red Heather is the crazy, mean, horrible head Heather. We open with a croquet scene, just kind of establishing the Heathers, what they're like. They're walking over roses. But the first real scene of the movie is we're at lunch in the cafeteria at this high school. The red Heather has Veronica write a letter to like an outcast student named Martha Dunstock, who she's like a large girl. She doesn't have friends. She always sits alone, and they call her like Martha Dump Truck. She's relentlessly bullied. So Red Heather has Veronica forge a letter from one of the main football players, the big jock of this school, saying how he thinks fondly of her and thinks back to when they kissed in like kindergarten or something. They sneak it onto Martha's tray, and it leads to her humiliation because she thinks the dude wrote it. She approaches him, all that stuff.
Did you say that it was forged by Veronica?
Yes, yes. Veronica forged it to make it seem like it was it's either from Kurt or Ram. I'll get to them in a second, but pretty much just establishing what this whole thing is. And Veronica doesn't like that she's doing this, but, you know, she gets a lot out of this, being taken out of the feeding frenzy and being in this upper class of the cliques. So she secretly wishes to return to her old life before the Heathers with her nicer friends. But she, like I said, she gets a lot out of this, so she keeps doing this. Veronica meets in the cafeteria Jason Dean, played by Christian Slater, who's doing his best Jack Nicholson impression. CJ, can you give me a quick impression of Christian Slater doing Jack Nicholson in this movie?
I'm gonna blow up the school.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
JD is a misanthrope.
He's doing the bad everyone does Jack Nicholson. You might be thinking of like, you can't handle the truth, or like the Joker. No, they like, my name is Jack Nicholson, right? Just like he's talking like Carl Weezer, but Jack Nicholson. Go ahead.
So JD is, the best word for it is misanthrope. He hates the world for reasons we'll learn throughout the movie. And Veronica takes an immediate interest in them. And part of this plot, I'm pretty sure it's because like the Heathers and whatnot and Veronica, they're part of the yearbook club. So they go around taking polls at lunch and they'll be published in the yearbook. And this is used they're doing a poll at the start of the movie. So she's asking a bunch of people. We're getting a feel for all these cliques. She like interviews JD about this question. He gives an answer that's like, you know, a bit different. Veronica's immediately kind of into him. She kind of digs his whole deal. So I've kind of established like there are the three Heathers. There's Veronica. There's Martha. Martha's not as important, but she will come back later. JD, Christian Slater. And then the two football jocks. They are the last two important characters. Their names are Kurt and Ram. We meet them in this whole interviewing moment as well with the poll. Kurt and Ram see Veronica talking to JD, and they go up to him afterwards, and, you know, they go to bully him and whatnot, and they like call him the F slur and whatnot. But, you know, JD's got a bit of an edge to him, so he talks back and he's like, yeah, no, this school's got an open door policy for assholes. And then he pulls out an enormous like Magnum revolver and just shoots them point blank. And the scene cuts immediately as he fires the gun. So we think he killed them, but we find out immediately. It turns out he only fired blanks and he just got suspended for it. And we learn this in a scene where Veronica and the Heathers are playing croquet at Veronica's house. There's croquet scenes kind of interspersed throughout the movie. They're kind of interstitials.
Croquet.
What did I say?
No, I'm agreeing.
Yeah, croquet.
Croquet.
Oh, croquet. Got it. It's spelled with, gotcha. Would spell without the Q?
What?
Huh? Anyway, these scenes
Croquet.
Croquet, yes. They serve to set up the next scenes, checking where our characters are at. Also, like, kind of establishes character dynamics in the moment. And in
lots
this one,
of socks. There's lots of socks in this movie.
I mean, lots with fashions. Lots of shoulder pads.
No.
Lots of
I mean, we
earrings.
get to see a lot of socked feet.
You kept pointing out throughout this movie, man, look at those lot of socks and stockings. It's like, well,
no,
we see people. What
but
do
it's
you
not
expect?
like you're in a wide shot. Look at, it's a lot of socks. It's like, no, we're looking at close-ups of people's feet.
CJ,
and then I said that, and then you were like, well, it's a lot of socks. I'm like, okay, then it's a lot of socked feet.
I cannot recall a single moment in this movie where we have a close-up of feet that are not wearing shoes.
Okay, there's a lot of feet. So anyway, if you go back and listen to the commentary, I pointed it out every time. I know that I did.
But the thing is sometimes you pointed it out when it was in a wide, like she's sitting on her bed. It's like, oh, more socks. It's like, well, yeah, she's not going to sit in her bed. If you're on a bed,
you're not in the
on.
wide. Unless you're outside the window, you're not in the wide shot on the bed.
What are you saying? Like, or do you want her feet to be cut off from the shot? And
no, I'm just saying, like,
feet?
I'm saying, like, you're on your bed. Yeah, then your feet are in the shot.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you? This is a tangent. My one of my professors in college was going to write a biography about himself, an autobiography, I guess, as it were. And he said that when he worked at a news station in the 70s, his chair was too tall. And so his crotch was above the desk. And I said, yeah, there you go. That's the name of your book. Frank Capra had name above the title. You have crotch above the desk. It just feels like she's in a crotch above the desk situation all the time. Why are her fucking feet in the shot all the time?
I'm going to say.
You know how many times we saw Bruce Willis's feet in Die Hard? None.
Yeah.
You know how many times did we see his feet?
What?
You know, no. You know, we didn't see him like that. Remember how many times did we see his feet in Armageddon? None.
Wait, you just used one of the worst examples you could make for this. We see his feet so much in Die Hard because his feet are a plot point in that movie.
They are a plot point, but you get what I'm saying. Armageddon, my point is irrefutable. We don't see anybody's feet in Armageddon.
I can guarantee that there are shots that we see people's feet in the movie. I want to stress.
It's a big focal point in this movie.
It is not at all. This is not a foot movie
I
at all.
noticed it.
You were noticing normal shots where people happen to have their feet in it.
No,
this is not a foot movie at all.
You're trying to make it weird.
No.
Because you're not a visionary like I am.
This is not a foot movie in the slightest. Go watch this movie. There are feet in it, but it does not zoom in.
I'm not saying it's a Quentin Tarantino movie. I'm saying there's feet in it.
Well, yeah, there are feet in almost every movie, CJ.
Not in Armageddon, there were no feet.
Yes, there are.
No.
I can guarantee there's as much feet in Armageddon as
we're going to go back and rewatch
this.
Armageddon to look for all the feet. There are more feet.
There are
hang
100%
on.
wide shots. We see them walking around in their damn spacesuits, full shot.
Yeah, but not with the dogs out.
And we don't see with the dogs out in this either. They're always socked or stocked.
I'm saying do socked. I said socked feet.
That's not feet.
I said socked feet.
Yeah, but you're making it sound like this movie is focusing on feet
I'm not.
all the time.
I said socked feet.
It's not a foot movie.
I didn't say it was.
God, where were we in the recap?
I don't fucking care. Hang on.
My Lord.
Hang on. I'm taking over. Okay, so after she's on now that they're done with the croquet with the feet, right? They kick the ball. Remember all the times they kick the ball? They do all the kicking of the ball.
Yeah.
She's really into she's like, dude, the what's her name? Old Chandler. What do they call it? The Heathers? Yeah. Heather Chandler was like, I got you in to this college party with college guys. And then she's like, okay. And then they go to the party, and the one guy's
no, you're skipping a lot. We have to. I need to actually interject because you are skipping some things.
I'm not
I want
skipping.
To cover.
Who am I skipping?
So, okay, we're in the croquet scene. They talk about JD firing blanks, and Red Heather also is like kind of bullying Green Heather with her shots. Like CJ mentioned, they're kicking things. So, you know, it's like I said, it's establishing character dynamics.
I mentioned the kicking.
I know, but wait. I take notes when I do recaps, CJ. There are things I want to touch on. In this scene, in the croquet scene, Veronica's also like talking about how much she liked what JD did with the blanks. Like she liked that curtain ram were put in their place. She doesn't like the whole curtain ram deal. She doesn't like the whole clicky nature. So like CJ said, it is the weekend. This is like a Friday, and Veronica and Red Heather are going out to a college party that Red Heather got her into. And they stop at the Snappy Snack Shack, which is like 7-Eleven. I'm just going to call it 7-Eleven because in Heather's the Musical, it's 7-Eleven and it's much easier to say. So
hang on.
JD is there.
Do you remember when I did Renaissance Man and you were criticizing me for mentioning plot points that don't matter?
No.
Yeah. At the end, you were like,
when I was saying that, and I even said then, like, you didn't. I was saying it in that movie didn't necessitate you to go into that amount of detail. And I was saying that more as about the movie. Like, it's a simple movie. We did not need to go into the detail.
We didn't need to know the name of the gas station they went to.
Well, no, it does, because I'm about to say, Veronica and JD chat a bit. This is where we start to get an idea for what JD is like. His dad runs a construction and demolition company, and he moves around a lot in the country. And he really specifically likes snappy snack shacks because they're like the one source of continuity in his life while he's moving around. That's why I brought it up.
I didn't even notice that. He said that?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, remember he said like Las Vegas and whatever and New York and Ohio, and you're like, one of these things is not like the other.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't remember him saying that.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. He was saying it's the one thing that's always the same is these convenience stores.
All right.
So Veronica brings up the whole gun thing that happened that day, and he says the extreme always seems to make an impression. That's a good, if CJ, give me your best Jack Nicholson, Christian Slater. The extreme always seems to make an impression.
The extreme always seems to make an impression. Like that.
That was really good, actually.
Thank you.
So Veronica and Heather leave the convenience store. They go to the party. Heather gives a guy a blowjob while Veronica refuses to be pressured into sex. And Veronica then throws up right in front of and kind of on Heather.
Wait a minute. You're forgetting something. You forgot an important. Yep, she lit the thing on fire.
But what does that actually contribute to the plot?
That there was a dumpster fire
That they stood next to light the scene?
Yeah.
So the combo of Veronica not sleeping with the dude, which like kind of quote embarrassed Heather, and then her throwing up on Heather. Heather vows to ruin Veronica on Monday when they're back at school. She's like, you're fucking done. I'm going to ruin you socially. So at home, Veronica writes about how things will be better if Heather were dead. And JD shows up by breaking in through Veronica's window. But Veronica's into him, so it's okay. And they end up sleeping together out in her backyard after playing strip croquet. And they talk to each other about how much they dislike the red Heather. And JD says that she's a bitch that deserves to die. And Veronica's like, nah, we should just grow up and move on, though I would like to see her puke her guts out. So the next morning, Saturday morning, they go to Heather's house and break in, which these kids are like constantly breaking into each other's houses. But in the movie, it's them just kind of walking on into their house, you know, letting themselves in. But in reality, they are just breaking in. And they plan to give Heather a hangover cure to mess with her and get revenge, where they just want to make her throw up. And Veronica, you know, she's joking around. She mixes OJ and milk together. But JD, he gets out drain cleaner and pours it into a mug. And Veronica's like, no, we can't get her that. She'd never drink it. It's this whole thing. The two drinks are in identical mugs with lids on them. One of them has drain cleaner. The other has them OJ and milk. And Veronica accidentally grabs the drain cleaner one. And JD notices but doesn't tell her. So they go and wake Heather up and peer pressure her into drinking it, being like, oh, you think that? She's like, no, you probably hacked a loogie in there. You want me to throw up? And that she's like right on the money. But they're like, oh, no, you just can't handle it. It's a secret family recipe. She's like, oh, I can do it. And she just kicks it back. And this drain cleaner acts immediately, instantly kills her. She goes crashing through a glass table. So they're like, what do we do? And JD suggests they make it look like a suicide. So he has Veronica forge a suicide note, where they just wax poetic. And JD is like surprisingly good at this. Like they frame this suicide note as Heather being a troubled teen with failures at school. And there's like some isolation in her popularity. And by Monday at school, like the whole community is in shock, but like her suicide note is out there. Like they have a hold of it and students are being interviewed all over the news about it. Teachers are discussing how to move forward. There's one teacher who's kind of like the hippie teacher. Like she's actually suggesting things that might be normal, like allowing students time to grieve or talking about feelings and whatnot. And like she's kind of written off comedically by the other teachers. And Veronica and the remaining Heathers kind of talk about Red Heather's passing. There's a side plot that doesn't matter too much about like Green Heather having bulimia and being comfortable with eating more now that Red Heather's gone and she's not pressuring her to stay skinny. Veronica's like in shock over this whole thing that she killed Red Heather, killed her best friend and her worst enemy. Like she showers with her clothes on. And their English class, they analyze her suicide note, which is crazy. Like that they are just passing around a suicide note from one of their classmates in class and analyzing it. But the students, a lot of them are like finding an actual genuine connection with the suicide note, you know, kind of in a vain way at times, making it about themselves. But Veronica just kind of like laughs at how Heather is becoming more popular in death. She covers it by pretending she's crying, but Veronica's like at a loss for this. JD and Veronica hang out. They see interviews on TV. The kids all making Heather's death about them in a way. Heather's like more popular now and is kind of like worshipped in death than she was in life. At this moment at JD's, we meet JD's dad. There's some tension there. We lay the seeds about JD's mom, who isn't too important. We end up learning that JD's mom killed herself which serves to tell us more about JD and why he is who he is. Like, she walked into a building JD's dad was about to demo, knowing it was about to demo, and she like waved to JD as it exploded and imploded from inside the building. We find that out later, but I'm just laying it out there now because it's not terribly important plot-wise. We then have Red Heather's funeral scene, and there's so many good bits in this scene alone. There are like several students saying prayers at her casket, and we hear their prayers, and like one is asking to be admitted to Harvard. One of them, it's one of the jocks. He's like, I wrote down the quote, "Why'd you have to kill such hot snatch? It's a joke, man. Why do people have to be so serious?" And he goes on to make more jokes and keep like saying like, relax, relax to God as he prays to him. Green Heather's praying like, I didn't think you were listening, but now I know you were listening to everything. Praise Jesus. Hallelujah. So many good little quotes in this. After the funeral, Veronica's then invited out on a double date with Yellow Heather and Kurt and Ram, the two jocks, the two football players. And this is a cow tipping double date where Kurt and Ram are tipping cows in the mud. That's right, everyone. It's the return of Bossy. We got cows in this movie. So Kurt and Ram are super drunk. At one point, Veronica's walking away from them. JD arrives and he's at the top of a hill. So she's going up to walk up to them. In the background, like one drunkenly falls over while pursuing her. The other is date raping Yellow Heather in the background. It's like super dark. But JD and Veronica, they go chat and they go get a slushie at the Snappy Snack Shack. At school, it turns out Kurt and Ram were then spreading a rumor that Veronica stayed at the date and she sucked them both off. So JD and Veronica come up with a plan to get back at Kurt and Ram, where they are going to lure them into the woods, shoot them with what JD calls Ich Lug bullets, which are, he explains, are pretty much tranquilizer bullets, and then stage the scene with items that would insinuate that Ram and Kurt are gay, along with suicide notes. And the plan is just to tranquilize them and humiliate them. So they go out into the woods, they lure them out there. JD shoots Ram successfully, but Veronica's shot misses Kurt. And like, you know, she thinks she's just tranquilizing them. So she's like, oh, it's no big deal that he's running. And JD's like, crap, I'll go get him. So he goes and runs and chases down Kurt and tries to corral him back while Veronica's like checking Ram's dead body and is like, oh shit, we actually killed him. JD successfully chases Kurt back and Veronica shoots him in a panic. You know, a lot of this movie is like Veronica, she goes along with these horrible things because, like, you know, she kind of wants it to happen, but she's kind of convincing herself like, oh no, we're just using tranquilizers, you know, like she's complicit in this all, but it's not really what she wants to do. So the bodies are found by some cops who heard the shots, and the cops do believe the fact that they were in fact gay lovers. And then we have a whole funeral for Kurt and Ram, and they're like now martyrs at this school for like, you know, martyrs against homophobia. And they're like wearing red football helmets in their casket with red footballs in their casket. And it's like a really absurd scene. One of the dads has the best quote in the movie with, "I love my dead gay son." But Veronica and JD are at the funeral and they're kind of getting a bit of pleasure out of this. But Veronica sees a crying little girl. The realization is sinking in with Veronica of like, we just killed someone. Like, this has repercussions. This is someone's sister. And Veronica later that day is like lamenting to herself, are we going to prom or are we going to hell? And at the school, the hippie teacher's now taken charge because of the additional suicides. And they're like, okay, maybe you should do something. And like, she puts on this super performative event in the cafeteria with people joining hands. The media shows up. Students are getting interviewed. Martha Dunstock tries to hide to avoid being involved. She hides underneath the table. JD and Veronica hang out again at JD's place. There's some more stuff with his dad. We reveal the info about JD's mom and the details of her suicide. And Veronica's like kind of had it with JD at this point. And JD tries to force himself onto her after an argument, and she's like had enough and she breaks up with him. So now JD, being broken up with Veronica, sets his plan in motion, though we don't fully know what it is for a bit. We see him talk with Green Heather, and he kind of suggests to her stepping up and filling the power vacuum and becoming the new tyrant of the school. He gives her like a red hairband of Red Heather's, and she takes stuff from Red Heather's locker. She begins wearing it, and like there's the metaphorical transfer of power with the red hair tie, and she begins wearing red instead of green. She's the new Red Heather. She's like, I'll call her Green Red Heather for confusion's sake. Veronica begins trying to reclaim her old life. You know, Red Heather's dead. Things are kind of changing and whatnot at the school. She's talking and hanging out with old friends again. Veronica also sees like the performative nature of people on TV talking about the suicides. Like she says they're eating suicide up with a spoon, making it sound like it's a cool thing to do. Her mom has a great line in retort to this. Are you trying to tell me it's not a time for troubled youth? Stand up straight. Great line that's just played completely straight. The mom chastising her at the end of this. And while this is all playing out, like Martha spills a drink on herself at the school. She attaches a suicide note to her shirt and she walks into traffic. So Green, now Red Heather, shows up to Veronica's, tells her about Martha walking into traffic. She survived, but she's badly hurt. And Martha's now being made fun of at school for attempting suicide as a way to try and copy the popular kids. So Veronica and Green Red Heather are hanging out, listening to the radio, and they hear Yellow Heather call into a radio show and talk about the fact that she's depressed. Green Red Heather like goes on to tell the entire school about it. And now Yellow Heather is getting bullied. And she goes to try and kill herself by overdosing on pills in the bathroom, but Veronica decides to seek her out, knowing that she would be in trouble and whatnot, and stops her. She has a heart-to-heart with Yellow Heather, and Yellow Heather kind of breaks free from this Heather clique in this moment and kind of connects with Veronica on a human level for the first time. Also, another great line in this moment. Yellow Heather puts like 50 pills into her mouth trying to kill herself. Veronica runs in and like shoves her hand in her mouth practically and shoves them off and like pushes her around to get her to spit up all the pills. And Yellow Heather goes, "Geez, what are you trying to do? Kill me?" Anyway, back to JD and his plan. He meets up with Green Red Heather again. And in this movie, there's a fictional band named Big Fun. We see people wearing shirts of it, including Martha. And they have a hit song called Teenage Suicide, Don't Do It. And JD gives Green Red Heather a petition to get everyone to sign, since that shouldn't be too hard of an ask since she's a Heather, so they'll listen to her. And the petition is to get Big Fun to perform at prom. And Heather's getting everyone to sign the petition. But Veronica learns that Heather has been telling people totally different things to get them to sign it. Some people think that they're like signing for like vending machines, random things. Heather's just been lying to everyone to get them to sign. So JD at some point then talks with Veronica and tries to rekindle with her, but she turns him down and leaves school. So at home, Veronica then learns that JD stopped by after school and voiced concerns to her parents about Veronica trying to kill herself. And he left a note for her in her handwriting saying, "Recognize the handwriting," pretty much threatening her. And she realizes now that he's going to kill her to stop her from interfering with his plan, which we still don't know what the plan is. There's a bit of a dream sequence then where JD breaks in and talks with Veronica. They're annotating Moby Dick so that they can then kill Green Heather and make it look like a suicide note in her Moby Dick book. There's a whole dream funeral for Green Heather where the priest waxes on about Heather being a troubled youth, an overanalyzation of her suicide note in Moby Dick. It's very surreal. Everyone at the funeral is wearing white gowns with like red, blue 3D glasses. There are balloon animal roses everywhere, green and red. There's a lot of green and red at this funeral, which is fitting since this Heather is the Green Red Heather. There are lamps that look like roses. Anyway, everyone in the school is at the funeral. Veronica then wakes up and realizes what she has to do after this whole dream sequence. So that night, JD breaks into Veronica's room with a gun. I'm not entirely sure what his plan was. Like, that's going to be a loud gun. His parents are going to, I'm assuming he would just leave the gun there, make it look like she shot herself. Anyway, he breaks in, but he finds Veronica is hanging in her room by her bedsheet. She already killed herself. So JD, seeing a dead Veronica, begins to lament. You know, he monologues for a bit and reveals what his plan was. He had came here to kill her, but not before one last attempt at turning her to his side. So his plan is this petition that he's been having Heather have everyone in the school sign is actually a mass suicide note. And he's going to blow up the school during the pep rally the next day. And this is going to be a school-wide suicide that's going to be the thing to infect a generation like Woodstock for the 80s, is how he puts it. He was hoping it would be a big culture shock moment leading to a ripple effect with change. And after all, like he said in the convenience store earlier, the extreme always seems to make an impression. So that's what he's going for. That's why I wanted to talk about the Snappy Snack Shack earlier, CJ. So JD leaves. Veronica's mom comes in, sees her hanging, but it turns out she wasn't actually hanging. She had her bedsheet tied around her waist the whole time to make it look like she was hanging by her neck. So JD prepares the bombs at home, and it's now the next day at school. It's the pep rally day. We see that Veronica's walking around hiding from JD so he doesn't see her and realize she's alive. We see the hippie teacher who thinks Veronica killed herself because JD told her she did. And the hippie teacher's like, oh, we have to talk. Whether to kill yourself or not is one of the most important decisions a teenager can make. Another great line. Veronica, again, she hides so JD won't see her. She waits for him to finish setting up all the bombs throughout the school. And she deduces that the main bomb will go off in the boiler room under the gym. This is called the Norwegian in the boiler room. It's something JD's dad talks about. It's how he does his demos. It's how JD knows how to demo the building is because of his dad. So the pep rally goes on. JD sets up the bombs in the boiler room. Veronica confronts him with a gun. I don't remember where she got the gun. She must have just kept it from earlier. He disarms her and knocks her out. He sets the bombs to explode. She attacks him with a fire extinguisher. They fight for a bit. She gets the gun back. They have a confrontation, yelling at each other and whatnot. She shoots off his middle finger as he flips her off. JD says how he's ready to wipe the whole slate clean. He mentions how the only place different social types can genuinely get along is in heaven. And she shoots him like multiple times then in the chest. And the bomb is stopped with just a few seconds left due to JD stabbing it with a switchblade as he's falling back and like cutting a wire or something. So Veronica then walks out. She walks outside and is on the stairs outside the school. But JD walks out behind her. Turns out he's alive and he followed her out. And he's pretty fucked up. Like he's bleeding out. He's shot. And he's impressed by her. He says that she has power he didn't think she had. He says to her that she should consider the slate wiped clean. And he reveals that he now has the bomb strapped to him. And he says to her, pretend I did blow up the schools, all the schools. What are you going to do with your life? And then she just pulls out a cigarette and watches him blow himself up. And then in the final moment, like everyone runs outside from the pep rally to see what happened. And like the soot covered and disheveled Veronica goes back inside. Red Green Heather confronts her. She's like, Veronica, you look like hell. She goes, yeah, I just got back. That's a Bruce Willis line in this movie. Bruce Willis line, if I've ever heard one. She takes the red bow out of Heather's hair and walks away, metaphorically taking the power away from her. And Veronica goes up to Martha, who's like in an electric scooter with a neck brace on, and invites her to hang out on prom night and watch some movies. And Martha says her one line in the whole movie saying that she'd like that, and the two walk and scoot away together as the credits roll. And that's Heathers.
Yes, that is the entire movie of Heathers.
Yes.
Yes.
So
you didn't skip a single thing.
No, because I think this movie is worth going into all the detail for.
I hear you. That was a 30-minute explanation. The movie itself is an hour and 3 minutes. So if you haven't seen it before, you can just listen to that.
Exactly. Yeah. But you should go watch it. It truly is a good movie.
Yeah, it is.
So CJ, I'd like to hear what made you kind of turn on the movie a bit after thinking about it more. What brought you from, it was pretty good, to, oh, I really liked that?
When I was watching it the first time, I was like, okay, yeah, I get why we're watching it. I get why you recommended it. I get why we're doing this, right? So like, while I'm going through it, I'm experiencing it for the first time, and I'm just like, okay, he's gonna blow up the school, or whatever, or this guy's gonna get shot, or whatever it was.
You did do a really good job of predicting this movie. I was very impressed with that.
Thank you. Once he pulled out the hand cannon and shot the two guys with the blanks, I was like, okay, blanks still hurt.
Oh yeah. No, they definitely had incredible welts after that.
Yeah, exactly. I enjoyed it going through it. I liked it even, and then I kind of was thinking about it, and I found myself like thinking about like the costumes were really good. The set pieces were really good. There was a lot to laugh about. It wasn't just all jokes. There was a lot of like, I felt like there was like in-set humor, like just like sight gags that I thought were good. Not like falling over laughing sight gags, right? It wasn't that kind of a movie. But like there was just some things about it that I thought were visually funny or whatever.
A great example is at one of the funerals one of the Heathers is like standing by, I don't even know what the word is because I'm not religious, like where the holy water is when you walk in, and she's like dabbing her hands into it and touching up her hair with it.
Yes.
It's great.
Yeah, that was great.
Lot of little moments like that.
Yeah, so the movie's just fun. And then I was like, I don't know that I remember point for point all the stuff of the movie, but like the slang from the movie was really memorable. Mm-hmm. What's your damage? Right. Or how very, or
get crucial.
Yeah, those were all good. Those were all really good. I'm sure there's more. I'm sure you remember them more than I do.
I noted a few down. Yeah, there's like such a pillowcase, or calling someone a swatch dog. Fuck me gently with a chainsaw.
Yeah,
that's not
was
really
good.
slang, but that's a great line.
Yeah, there's a lot of great lines. It's a great black comedy movie. I think that's what it is. It's very much 1989. This is, and I haven't done any research into this, so if I'm off the mark, I'm off the mark. This feels like an anti-John Hughes movie.
Yes.
John Hughes, for those of you that don't know, basically did all of the teen movies in the 80s that you're thinking of, right? So he did 16 Candles as a director. He did The Breakfast Club, Weird Science,
Pretty in Pink,
Ferris Bueller.
Yeah.
I think he also did Uncle Buck. He wrote for a lot of other movies. Like, the 80s were basically his time. He started in 82, and he went until, like, the early 2000s, I think. Maybe, is he still alive? I don't know. But
I don't think he is.
No, I think he died. Yeah, I think he's dead. But he also wrote...
09.
He also wrote, like, National Lampoon's Vacation and Pretty in Pink and The Great Outdoors, right? So, like, he wrote all the movies in the 80s that you're thinking of. And those movies have a tone. Someone once told me one time, I was in an argument, and somebody else made like a really soft, not soft as in like soft, but just like they made like a very like emotional statement, and we were having a really strong argument, and the person across from me said, "You brought a John Hughes script to a knife fight," which is a great joke. It's a great line. It's like sappy coming of age, ick. I don't want to say it's ick, but like if you watch like all of those back to back, you're just like, Jesus Christ, So this is the antithesis of that, and I think after that, I enjoyed it more. While I'm going through it the first time, I'm just like, this is like a played out high school cliquey thing, and part of the reason I feel like in the moment I was like, man, this is just so played out. Was your high school cliquey?
Not really.
No, mine wasn't either.
Yeah.
Like, everybody has their own tribe. But it wasn't like, this is where the jocks are, and this is the cheerleaders, and this is the nerds. Like, there were natural breakdowns. Like, tribalism is evident at every level of our society, right? So, like, everybody has their group, but it wasn't cliquey, and there wasn't, like, a hierarchy to it.
No. Everyone had their friend group, and, like, there was mingling between the friend groups, but you had your core friend group.
Yeah. Like, it wasn't, like, a big scandal that my friend did wrestling, and he hung out with someone that didn't, right? It wasn't, like, no one gave a fuck. And, again, this behavior might have been more prevalent before I was in school, but, like, even like modern-ish movies and TV still follows that trope. Like the very cliquey, tropey, doesn't make sense, is not evident in my reality. But I sat on it more and I'm like, no, it's making fun of that.
Yeah.
Like it's really in a really fun, interesting way. And I feel like it really aged well.
It really did.
It aged beautifully. One, because the slang, like the language didn't age. And because it's about teen suicide and about bringing guns to school, which unfortunately the second part is very relevant in modern day America, at least. So it's just like, oh, okay, yeah. If this guy did what he did today, they wouldn't show him on the news channels because they don't want people to read his manifesto.
Right.
Right? Like they don't want people to be inspired by Christian Slater. It sort of snowballed for me, like all of those things. As I sat on it, I was like, this is better than I thought it was, and I was like, oh, I really like it. And Winona Ryder did really good. I don't usually like her.
No?
I feel like every time that I'm watching Winona Ryder, I'm watching her. Like, I don't ever feel like I'm seeing a character. I just hear her voice, and her voice to me is very like, I'm Winona Ryder.
Okay. Kind of like Christopher Walken.
Yeah, like, oh, this is Christopher Walken. I don't know what the name of his character is.
Right.
I know this is Christopher Walken, right?
Right.
At some point, actors become them, especially when you're exposed to them so much. It's not that they can't do work anymore. It's just like, okay, yeah, it doesn't matter who this character is. This is Bruce Willis.
Right.
Right? Like, they get typecast into oblivion, and now it doesn't matter who they are because you're watching this movie. You know who the character is because of who is playing the character.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think all of that combined make this movie really interesting and really good. And I think I've already recommended this movie to some people. So
good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. You brought up John Hughes in the pregame. I'm just calling these pre-games and post-games now instead of shows.
Why?
In the pregame, it's just easier for me.
You didn't discuss this with me.
It's just easier for me. That's how I think of it in my head. If you look at our messages, CJ, occasionally I refer to this as the pregame.
Well, I'm not wavering in how I refer to anything.
That's okay. In the pregame, you took off your headphones for a moment, so you went in blind. But yeah. I talked about that as well. I talked about how this is like a cynical satire of John Hughes movies. I talked about, like, it has very dark and morbid humor in it, but it really works. And it's just timeless. It's truly timeless. It really, really works.
The mineral water. Oh my God.
Oh my God. One of the best bits.
Yeah, that was just like propping up the bottle of mineral water. Like,
yes. Let's talk about some really good bits in this movie that we really liked. The mineral water first. I think the mineral water, correct me if I'm wrong, was the biggest laugh out of you. Because personally, when I watched it for the first time, the mineral water was my biggest laugh as well.
I think it was a pretty good laugh. I remember laughing. I don't have all my laughs queued up, but no, yeah, that was pretty funny. Like,
just for the viewer, the mineral water that we're referring to is when they are going to stage Curtin Ram's quote fake suicide. They get a bunch of items and put it in a bag next to them, and it's stuff like, gay porno magazines and random things that, like lovers' chocolates. And one of the things, like, Christian Slater's like, and mineral water, we're putting mineral water in there. And Veronica's like, come on, that's a tired and worn out trope. Gay people don't drink mineral water anymore. And JD, Christian Slater's like, oh, come on, it's whatever. And when the cops find the bodies and they're looking through the bag, the cop pulls out the mineral water and looks up at the other and is like, oh man, you know what this means. They were gay. Yeah. And just the look he gives is so perfect. And the timing and delivery of it is perfect.
Mm-hmm. I think that the mineral water too, like, so in the first time that they kill somebody, it's when they kill Red Heather, right?
Yeah.
And there's this panic about what are they going to say when the cops come? What are they going to do? Blah, blah, blah. Like there's very much we don't have a plan. But then the plan becomes you're going to forge a note, right?
Mm.
And then the second time that it happens, it's a very elaborate staging. It's like we're going to have this whole bag. We're luring them out to the woods without their clothes. These are I'm lying bullets, right? Like,
right. Yeah. Do you want to explain that real quick?
Yeah. So basically, he's like, "Do you speak German?" And then he says, "Like, oh, they're the I don't know what the Ich Luge bullets," and they're just like gonna make them pass out. They're gonna look like they're dead, but they're not. And so she shoots somebody with one of the bullets, and the guy just dies because Ich Luge means I'm lying. The regular bullets. She just shot somebody, and then he kills the other one. So they're both dead. They've staged shit so that they're naked in the woods, and they have this bag of goodies, right? They stage the scene. And then I think the last one that is in her dream sequence, where she's basically like, I'm not writing a letter anymore. I'm not doing this. And he goes, it doesn't matter because people believe what they want to believe, right? And then he just scribbles like whatever on a piece of paper.
Life sucks.
Yeah. And it's just very like, it has none of the artistry as the other ones did. He goes in the room and he kills her and she wakes up. But I think that that's one of the things, right? It's like, it's a comment on like, oh, people believe what they want to believe. They will make the connection on their own. right? You don't need poetry. You just need the thing. And I think that's part of it, because it's a dream sequence, right? It's her perception of him. But it's the same thing with the mineral water. It's like, yeah, people will come up with this. All you have to do is just plant the seed.
Right.
Right? Because they didn't even really look into it. They're just like, oh, two guys dead in the woods, killed each other.
And if you really break down the scene, and I don't know if this is some sort of meta comment by the movie in terms of like what you said, people will connect the dots themselves how they see fit. But the way that they place the guns on the bodies makes no sense in that, like, say it was us who were killed, right? Say we were lovers. I mean, it's not hard to make that leap, but say we were lovers, CJ. And it's pretty much like the gun that shot me, I would be holding it. And the gun that shot you, you were holding it. So it makes no sense because they're like shot in the chest and the neck, clearly shot by other people. Like it looks like they shot each other. I'm not sure if it's intentional, but that wouldn't stand up at all. They'd be like, okay, this isn't right. These guns were clearly placed at the scene and not actually used by them. So that goes exactly with what you said about people connecting the dots on their own how they want.
Yeah. And then obviously afterwards they get found, the mineral water is the payoff for the joke. They have their funeral. They have the football helmets in the coffins.
Yeah.
Which is really funny. And then it's the guy giving the speech. He's like, I love my dead gay son.
Such a good one.
Yeah, right. It's just like, okay, that's
They kind of when I made a note of a handful of bits. I'm just gonna run through a few more. We already mentioned the holy water in the hair. I talked about the prayers earlier. When people are finding out that Kurt and Ram died, one guy goes, "Did you hear? Kurt and Ram killed themselves in a repressed homosexual suicide pact." And it's just like,
yeah. And so the reason they did that was because they were trying to ruin their reputation. She wanted to ruin their reputation because they had ruined hers, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Because she didn't want to sleep with him, and then he was drunk, but he just kind of fell over. It looked like she shot him then when they were in the cow tipping scene, because he just collapses. Then he's like belly drunk. In the dirt.
He was like trying to climb over a fence or something.
Yeah, and it's like, oh yeah, the other Heather's having a great time back there.
Yeah, great time in quotes.
Yeah, big fun. Yeah.
Yeah, big fun. Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
the name of the fictional band.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me. The bits. I don't know if you have any more bits you wanted to bring up.
Just other ones that we mentioned, like mid suicide attempt for Yellow Heather. She's like, "What are you trying to do? Kill me?" Or the whether you kill yourself or not is one of the most important decisions a teenager can make. Like the teacher is saying that to someone who very clearly didn't kill herself, but she's high on her own supply and deluded that, like, you know, like I said, she's very performative about this teacher. And it's so good. Another thing is the mom, like, are you trying to tell me this is not a time for troubled youth? Stand up straight. And then in the same thing, like the dad says Veronica says something to the dad about, like, I don't even remember what, but he totally just misunderstands. She's like, she's like, for whatever you fucking screwed the pooch or whatever. He's like, when did I fuck a dog? You know, something along those lines. He takes something she said literally.
Yeah.
It's a very funny movie.
Yeah, it is. It's I think it has a lot of good things going for it.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to mention just in general is this movie, personally, did you watch the show 13 Reasons Why?
No. I know that was like a big Netflix show. That was like one of the ones where it's like, everyone's watching this, you got to watch it. And I was like,
So are you familiar with what it's about? Or the controversy?
Can I tell you what I think that it's about?
Yeah, sure.
I think that it's about someone that kills themselves, and then they leave behind a list of 13 reasons why they killed themselves.
Pretty much. It's kind of scavenger hunty. But the show got a lot of backlash. It's based on a book. The show got a lot of backlash for like glorifying and romanticizing suicide. It really feels like a show that feels like they think that they're saying a lot more than they are. You know, but like, God, that show. I binged it during COVID. I won't even go on to a rant about. Well,
you're like the suicide guy.
That's how people know me. Yeah.
Well, no, I'm saying like you're the you know, that's your whole thing, is you're the no feeling is final guy, you know, like that's you always say that, and you do a lot of good with that. I'm just saying, like, you know, if you're saying that, it's just like, oh, that's it must be really bad.
Yeah, no, 13 Reasons Why is like, I would never recommend someone watch it. It's like, it's truly, it's like an actively harmful show with the way it portrays some things.
Sure, okay.
I love the show for how bad it is and how they really thought they were doing something. And it's just like, for example, I will go on a little rant about it.
Oh, please. I mean, I'm interested. I don't know anything about it.
One of like the reasons why this girl killed herself is she was like raped by one of the jocks. And the jock's name, I think his name in the show was like Bryce. And the show had a really fascinating problem where almost every actor on it was not good. But Bryce, the bad guy, was like hands down putting in the best performance. So after Bryce is killed off.
Oh, he dies?
Yeah, he's killed off in like at the end of season 2 or 3. There's 4 seasons.
Wait a minute. This is a show with multiple seasons?
Yes, there's 4 seasons. And I believe the book was only like the first season and a half or something. And then they just started making it up.
Okay.
Bryce gets killed in like the 2nd or 3rd season. And because he was such a good actor, they kept him around as kind of like a force ghost, you know?
Oh.
And like a character was going crazy seeing him. And also like really weird segments where like there's a whole scene in the final season where they're like fighting a future war, and he's like there as an android and they're fighting aliens, and it's like a dream sequence, but it's whatever. Yeah. And then they also try and turn the rapist bad guy character into a super sympathetic character only after he dies. It was like, oh, well, he had stuff going on too, you know. We don't want to cast stones at him because, you know, he had a troubled home life as well. And like, they really try to set him up as like, no, he was actually a good guy. It's just a bad show. It's a really, at one point, some dudes, one guy, they go to a party. The main guy, I forget the name of his actor. He's in Wallows, the band, that guy. He goes to a party. He's hooking up with a girl. It's his first time. He jizzes in his pants on the way home. Or maybe he comes like immediately, maybe like 1 pump, 2 pump. And like immediately he's like, was it good for you? Anyway, they're driving home from the party. He's driving his friend's convertible. Neither of them are wearing seatbelts. They're going like 80 or 90 and the car just flips off the road doing like multiple rolls, and they're totally fine afterwards. Anyway, this movie is exactly what 13 Reasons Why wishes it was in terms of what it has to say.
Okay.
This movie talks so much about the evils of romanticizing suicide like this, and they make suicide into a quote cool thing. Like I said, Martha genuinely attempts to kill herself in this movie, and there's no sympathy for her or empathy because all the people are like, oh, she's just trying to do it because she wants to be like the popular kids, you know? They take that idea on like the far extreme. And like I said, this teacher's been performative the whole time. Like, she has a bit of earnestness in it at the start, but as soon as like the media gets involved, then it's all like, come on, everyone, we're joining hands. Let's put on a good show and everything like that. It's just, and then like we talked about the whole repressed homosexual pact that was supposed to be like, you know, was supposed to be a prank, but then turns into an actual double homicide. The way that Ram and Kurt are then portrayed in the movie is really accurate with how so many people are closeted and kill themselves because, you know, they feel like they can't genuinely be themselves. And it's surprising that this movie it really nails all of it. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't really point to any, I mean, of course this movie, like I said, like earlier, like people call each other the F slur and whatnot, or like there was one part where you're like, well, why don't they do that? And I go, CJ, you're trying to add modern sensibilities to a movie from 1989, you know?
I don't remember all of those situations, but I'm going to tell you the one that I remember the most is the one where they're looking over the bench to watch the TV. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. And you were like,
oh, yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. You were like, it's because the TV wasn't in the center of the room. They put furniture in front of it.
Yeah.
That's like sitting behind a pillar in a movie theater.
For the viewer, it was pretty much the parents, the way the living room is set up is they have two couches facing each other and the
They're
TV is
benches.
behind. They were couches.
They were cushioned benches.
They're the couches that your grandma has with like the floral patterns on them.
And now that we're back in modern times, they're padded benches.
Yeah, they have, yeah, I would say that.
You wouldn't see this at a funeral home, and that's what I call grandmother's furniture, all right?
I would say they're funeral home furniture.
No.
Yeah, I would. But anyway, like the TV is like off to the side of the room behind one of the couches, and CJ was like talking about it. That might have been when I'm like, CJ, this was before the TV was the center of every living room in every family, you know?
Yeah.
But no, in general, like I feel like this movie it just fucking nails it. This movie's great.
No, it's great. No, it is. I was thinking about the TV again. Doesn't make any sense.
Some random things. The original script actually had a different ending from JD, just, Veronica foiling the plan and JD boiling himself. My lord. What a horrible ending that would have been.
He boiled himself?
Morbid.
Okay.
JD blowing himself up after leaving the boiler room.
All right.
And he says a quote in this movie: the only place different social types can genuinely get along is in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another moment where there's mentions of people getting along at a prom in heaven. And the original ending for the script actually was JD succeeds and we go to a scene in heaven where all of the students are getting along for once. It's, JD's plan works. And that was the original plan, but the studio felt that it was too dark of an ending, so they had to rewrite it.
It's probably good.
It would have
Probably
been
good.
I mean, I feel like it would be interesting to see that type of movie, or a movie with that ending. I feel like that ending, despite it being much darker, I do think that would work as an ending,
Yeah, it could have worked in as an ending, yeah.
It's not something where I hear it and I'm just like, oh, hell no, but it's interesting. You can, knowing that when you watch it again, there are lots of foreshadowing to it. And maybe that ending would have been a bit too heavy-handed, now that I think about it, because it would have been one of those things where it's like, oh, they really set it up throughout the movie. Whereas with how it is now, it kind of like the mentions of prom in heaven and JD saying that's the only place they can get along, it works more on a thematic level, which I think might add a bit more to the movie in general. So I don't know. I don't know which ending would have been better in total, but I do like the ending of this movie. I think it's a great ending.
Did you ever play Far Cry 5?
No, I only played Far Cry 3.
The Far Cry 5 is the one that I think, if I'm thinking of the right game, it takes place in America. It's like in like Montana or whatever.
Yes.
And there's the seeds, and they are like, their whole thing is like the end of the world's coming. They have like a very Christian-minded cult. They're like preparing for the end of the world, but they're obviously like people are like there against their will. They use force, blah, blah, blah. They use drugs to manipulate people. And the ending of that game, spoiler alert for Far Cry 5, but the ending of that game is he keeps saying that there's the end of the world is coming. Like there's a nuke going to come. It's going to blow everything up. And at the end of the game, he takes all your friends that you make throughout the game and you get them back. If you do the one ending, you get to go get them back. You save them all, and then a nuke goes off because he was right. The whole time he's doing all this stuff, he's killing people, they're drugging people, they're forcing people against their will, they're disrupting all these people's lives, they're going into full militarized, like, dickhead zone, right? And he's like, the end of the world's coming. It does. They drop a nuke on this area, and then you're trying to rush to get to a bomb shelter. You crash your car. Then you're dragged into the bomb shelter by the big bad guy, and the two of you are in a bomb shelter alone. And he's like, well, you've killed all my family, so I guess you're my family now. And it's just the two of you alive in this fallout shelter. And that's how the game ends. There's something, I don't know if you, like, I have this very guttural feeling of that's so uncomfortable, unsatisfying, right? It's like, oh, this horrible person, he was correct.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's just like, I hate the idea that could have been the ending for this movie where it's like, oh yeah, Christian Slater kills everyone and then they all have a good time in heaven. That's awful.
Yeah. But at the same time, his plan, it's partly like the whole heaven thing, but also, like I said, he wanted this to be like a shocking moment in the culture of the 80s. He wanted this, more or less, he wanted to Columbine 10 years before Columbine happened, but on a much grander scale, hoping that would lead to drastic reform around the country for the way teens are treated and the way teenage hierarchies and tribalism works. So it would have been interesting. It would have been interesting to see that for sure.
Yeah. I think that's part of it is we live only in a post-Columbine world.
Mm.
And so it's hard to be like, oh yeah, that was a potential ending. It just like feels impossible to have that be the ending, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you watch a movie and you see the Twin Tower, you know what I mean? It's just like, oh, yeah. Or you see people just run onto a plane or buy a paper ticket in a movie and you're like, oh, yeah, I guess you could do that. Like at one point in time, riding a plane was like getting on a bus.
Yeah.
So you could decide that day you were going, right?
I mean, technically.
Yeah.
Technically, you could still. But who in their right mind?
Yeah, that's insanity. So
I believe they do that in the movie Yes Man. They fly to like fucking Kansas or some shit. Just some random other things is Green Heather, the one who transforms to Red Heather, played by Shannon Doherty, Heather Duke. She actually thought while filming this movie that this movie was like a serious drama. Ha! And she took herself very seriously. She refused to the characters swear a lot in this movie, as teenagers do. And she like objected to swearing in the script and refused to say some more explicit lines. But when they first showed the cast this movie after it was done, apparently she like ran out crying because she realized that the movie was a dark comedy and not this serious drama that she was expecting it to be.
Okay.
Just a fun little fact for you.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think about that, like, from her experience. Like, I guess if you only take the scene she was in, like, I can see it.
But at the same time, like, I went into this viewing with that in mind, right?
Yeah.
And the opening scene alone, they're being horrible to each other, walking through a garden, like, super synchronized movements, stepping on roses very, like, comedically, and hitting croquet balls at Winona Ryder's character's head. It's like, what did she think was going on?
Well, now here's the question. Was she in the ground for that shot?
Oh, I don't know.
They didn't need her in the shot. I was watching something the other day where, you know that scene in The Wizard of Oz where she steps from sepia into color?
Mm-hmm.
So there's the shot of Judy Garland right from the front. Then it cuts from her into the back where she's in the sepia set, and then they open up and it's the colorful world of Oz.
Mm-hmm.
So to do that shot, they didn't have the technology to just cut. So they had a body double of Judy Garland walk onto the color set from the sepia set. And then it cuts back to the front where it's Judy Garland again.
Okay.
Where she's in color.
Right.
Because they didn't have the technology to make the transition.
Mm-hmm.
So that's crazy, right? Like, I never would have thought that they would have used a body double for that one part, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's lots of movie magic stuff where you're like, oh, of course they put Winona Ryder in the ground and had Shannon Doherty hit a croquet ball at her. It's like, well, maybe they didn't, right?
Yeah, but let's be real.
I get your overall point. I'm just saying, like, we don't know.
No,
it's very possible.
She also probably had access to the script, the full script for that scene while they were filming. It's not like they were filming Christopher Nolan's next movie where it's on red paper so it can't be Xeroxed, you know?
No, that's fair.
She probably had the full script.
How many? She's a young actress in the 80s, right?
Exactly.
So it's like she read her part.
Yeah.
She read her sides. Let's talk about Christian Slater.
Yeah. Well, how about you go first, as someone who
go first.
Experienced this for the first time.
You told me it was Jack Nicholson, and then I couldn't unsee it. It was distracting for me. It was
Really?
it was a little, well, because then all I could hear was Jack. Like, funny enough, I don't remember a single thing he says. Like, his dialogue doesn't seem quotable in a way because he kind of talks like he's like in a poem or something. His language is very like he's doing a manifesto, right?
All the time. Every line of his almost sounds like it was ripped straight from a manifesto.
Yeah, like he doesn't talk like a person.
Mm-mm. That's a bitch that deserves to die.
Yeah, right. But yeah, so it's like reading the Unabomber's manifesto, but in like Jack Nicholson's voice.
Mm-hmm.
It's like in the same way you wouldn't take the Bible seriously, narrated by Christopher Walken. It just,
I mean, think of the literary content of the Bible, though. That's a super entertaining read.
I would just hear him in the voice giving Bruce Willis the watch, you know, in Pulp Fiction, young Bruce Willis. I guess not Bruce Willis, the character Butch. So yeah, he's very verbose. I feel like there's this thing that happens a lot where we want to tell a story about high school, but we're telling it like they're 40-year-olds. Like, this is very deep for a kid, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is someone that, like, is just... He would shop at Hot Topic, right? He was, like, 22 years too early for the emo craze. But that's, like, so his type.
I don't know. I think he might... Maybe he's more goth. Just start deliberating the difference between goth and emo and scene.
Either way, he's shopping at Spencer's.
I could see him shop. He's wearing like big trench coats, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I really liked his character though. Like I talked about back in our Tombstone episode with Doc Holliday, and who's his counterpart in that movie? By like Michael Biehn.
Wyatt Earp.
No. The guy played
Michael Biehn, yeah. Johnny Ringo.
Yeah, Johnny Ringo. I love characters with really interesting worldviews, and someone incredibly misanthropic like this. You know, you don't run into people every day like this who have worldviews this cynical or jaded or believing in... I mean, maybe we do, but we just don't talk to them. Believing like how we need a great reset.
I didn't sigh because I think that we encounter them all the time in our real lives. I sigh because it's disproportionate in Hollywood, where you get these very, like, intelligible misanthropes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because most misanthropic people are, like, I don't know, actually depressed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's not depressed. He's an asshole, right? He's a psychopath.
So, in the movie, I would agree. He's more on the unhinged spectrum. In the Heathers the Musical, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, they do kind of portray it more as, like, depression aligned.
Yeah, I don't think you could do a modern telling of that without being depression.
Yeah. No, I totally hear what you're saying. It's one of those things where because it was released in 89, it can, despite the subject matter, it can still be more innocent in a way because we didn't have things like this actually happening in real life. Now it's a bit too relatable to where, you know, if this movie were to come out today, we'd be like, okay, but what else is this deal? Why did he actually do this? We search for meaning where there is none, you know?
And by the way, I'm totally happy that we don't have to get into his crybaby backstory about why he wants to kill everybody. I'm so good with that. Like, I didn't watch 13 Reasons Why. Trying to redeem the rapist would have made me really annoyed.
Yes, exactly.
It's like, why? He's
exactly.
People have a reason for what they do. I don't care about them all the time. Like Shonen is really bad about that, where they like show you like major villains. This guy is a slaver and he committed genocide, but his daddy was mean to him. It's like, I don't give a fuck, dude. I don't care. It's like, you don't care why this person is the way that they are, then you don't care about the show. And if that sounds familiar, it's because you said that to me. Actually, you did.
I did?
Uh-huh. You know what show you said that to me about?
Which one?
Ted Lasso.
What was the context for this?
I was complaining that I didn't need to know all about fucking Nate's backstory and all his crybaby bullshit, why he was an asshole, and you're like, if you don't care about Nate, then you don't care about the show.
Or are those my words?
It was in text, so yes. I'll go back and find it. You were like, if you don't care about Nate, then you don't care. I'm like, okay, well, there you go. I was holding that in for a while.
I said, You said, man, I don't give a fuck about Nate and his dad, even if his dad is crying. And I said, then you don't give a fuck about why Nate is Nate.
Yeah.
And he said he's a fucking asshole.
He is a fuck. That's exactly what I just said.
Yeah.
I don't need to know.
I didn't say you didn't care about the show.
Well. That's what I felt in my heart when you said that, okay? But yeah, it's just fucking dumb. Just fucking dumb. It's like, okay, nah, I don't need it. I'm glad that he was just an asshole and we didn't get like but his mommy dying really fucked with him. Of course it did.
Yeah.
No shit, it did.
I feel like we did get that. I feel like
we didn't get like a song, right?
No, but we got enough to fill in the gaps, I'd say.
Yeah, that's all you need. You don't need like a flashback. You don't need like his dad beating him with a belt, right? Like it didn't go too much.
No.
All right, go ahead.
I mean, I don't have too much to add to that. I would just
I'm saying move on.
Okay. Something.
No, you go ahead. You move on.
Something I wanted to bring up, and this was only something that I made a connection while watching Heathers the Musical. I think it's a bit more played into in Heathers the Musical, but it is present in this movie a little bit. The funeral in the dream sequence. I talked a little bit about it. In the dream sequence, JD kills Heather Duke, and then there's a funeral where everyone's wearing white gowns with 3D glasses on, the old ones with the red and the blue lens. And like Red Heather is there in the dream talking to Veronica. But I think that scene alone is really interesting the more you kind of dig into it. You know, I think on a surface, there is a lot to be said about just the visual of them being at a funeral for this kid as they are glorifying the suicides of all these kids, and they are wearing glasses commonly used in entertainment to make it feel like, you know, more real life. So I think the movie has pretty interesting commentary just based on that alone, them wearing these 3D glasses at a funeral, you know, and the not commodification, but the turning of it into something more of entertainment, you know. But also, and again, I think this part specifically is played more into in the musical, just from like kind of a color theory perspective. Like I said, Veronica's main color in this movie is blue, and like she's really wearing blue at this point. And the main Heather is red. And it's, you know, she's kind of gone off the deep end, and she's like, in a way, kind of turned into Red Heather with how she's, you know, in a way controlling this school through killing these people and taking these people's lives into her own hand. And, you know, if you look at Red Heather and Blue Heather under 3D glasses, they're going to look the same because of the red and the blue lens. So I just thought that was something that was pretty interesting that I wanted to bring up.
Mm-hmm.
Good scene. It's a good scene.
Yeah. No, for sure.
But the other... Go ahead. No,
go ahead.
No. After you, I insist.
Okay, so we talked about this while we were watching. There's this scene where they're going to the bathroom.
Yes.
And it's a staircase up to a boy's bathroom, right? And then she goes up another floor and then another flight of stairs to get to just a bathroom.
Yes.
That's the only thing up there is just a bathroom.
It's the most exhausting school layout ever. You have to go upstairs solely to the bathroom.
Yeah, exactly. So I went to, and I'm not going to say where, but I went to a government building, a very old government building recently. I had an appointment on the 3rd floor for an interview, a job interview. So I got on the elevator and I went up to the 3rd floor. And then I went into the office and they said, hey, you know, you're a few minutes early. I said, okay, I'm going to go to the bathroom. Can you tell me where the restrooms are? And she said, okay. There was like a big opening in the middle and there was a floor all the way around it with like a railing, right? So it's open. You can look down and see the 1st floor, right? And she pointed in the back right corner. So I go to the back right corner and there's a flight of stairs, like a half flight of stairs. I get up to the top. There's a landing, and on the left, there's a women's room. And I said, okay. So then to the right, there's a staircase. So I went up the staircase. And then there was another landing, and there was another staircase, and I went up that staircase, and at the top of the stairs was a men's room, and I go in there, and it was just, that was the only thing up there. It was just the men's room, and I was like, am I in fucking Heathers? Like, I didn't even believe that was a real set. I thought that was just a set thing, but I'm like, were buildings really built this awful? And I think, I don't know the layout of this building, but I think it was so that both bathrooms were on top of each other.
In the real building you were in?
Yeah, the real building I was in.
That would make sense, because it was like you said, it was stairs up to a landing where the door to the girls' bathroom was, and then 2 more sets of stairs to a landing where the boys' bathroom was. And that's all that the stairwell, that's the sole purpose that these stairs served. There weren't other doors to like exit to the floors. The only doors on the landings were to the bathroom. So that would make sense, the idea of them being laid on top of each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Before we go any further, CJ, I just wanted to ask, did you have any favorite scenes in this movie or any specific favorite performances?
The mineral water. That was
yes,
good.
Of course.
I loved I loved Red Heather. She was great.
Yeah, she's really good.
She was really, really good. I was like upset when they killed her off because I was like, I would just watch an hour and a half of you bullying Winona Ryder. The croquet schemes were funny.
Mm-hmm. They were fun. Like I said, they kind of break it up a bit, and it's a good moment to check in with our characters where they're at. They're always fun. There's always they're at Veronica's house, so her parents are there, and there's always some fun back and forth with her parents.
Yeah, overall, it was a good movie.
Yeah.
What about you?
Personally, I really like Winona Ryder in this movie. It's crazy to think. I think she was like 16 when this movie came out, or when this movie was filmed. Also, she took this role because like the week that it was presented to her, someone at her high school committed suicide, and that kind of inspired her to make this movie. And Winona Ryder has gone on to say that Heathers is her favorite movie. I don't know if she means that as in favorite movie of hers that she's in, or just favorite movie period all time, but she has said it's her favorite movie. And when she was being looked at for this role, she was adamant about taking it. And her agent was like, no, this will ruin your career, to the point where the agent got down on her hands and knees and begged her not to take the role. But I think she's great in the role. I mean, I can't think of anyone who's bad in this movie. You know, all the performances are at the very least all right. You know, there are some great performances. I think Green Heather, thinking that she's in a dramatic movie, I think that really works in their favor. You know?
Yeah.
And like you said, Heather Chandler, Red Heather, she's great. Just ultimate, like, what's the term they use? Mega bitch, I think is some slang in this movie that someone calls someone. Like, she's so good at being that. The actress is tragically passed, but yeah, no, just all around great performances from the whole cast. Mr. Mosby from Sweet Life of Zack and Cody is in it as one of the students.
Okay.
So
yep, that's true.
He's the standout. I think he's only in the one scene. He is the standout. No, but overall, just it's good. I really like the Kurt and Ram funeral scene. I love my dead gay son.
Yeah,
is just such an all-timer line, and the way that scene builds to that line, and them wearing their football helmets and their caskets gets a good laugh out of me. It's just, yeah, there's a lot to like in this movie, but I think the most important question regarding this movie that we need to ask though is CJ.
Yeah,
could you have done a Heathers?
Who do I get to be?
I guess we would have to say I guess we would have to define what a Heathers is. Could you stop JD with his plan? Let's just say that you can be Veronica. Yes,
I could have done a Veronica.
You could have done a Veronica.
I would have made sure that my feet weren't in the shot so much, but
what would your plan of attack have been when you get home from school and you find that JD had been there planting seeds of your imminent demise to your parents, and JD has the ability to forge a suicide note? What would your plan of attack be there?
Well, I guess part of me would have imagined that he was going to show up, right? I think that there's two options. One is that you go after him, right? I know where you live too, motherfucker, kind of thing. But probably what would work is I just like stage myself in the bed, and then I'm hiding out in like the closet or whatever on the opposite side of the window, because he always comes in that window and then like jumps in.
Good point.
Yeah, and then just gone for the kill.
Good point. So you would have Ferris Buellered him.
Yeah.
With like a fake snores and everything. I like it.
Yeah.
What about...
I definitely could have done a Red Heather. Yep.
What about like the whole confrontation with the bombing?
Oh, where I have to get him. I have to figure out how to defuse the bomb.
You have to stop the bombing. Yeah, let's say you wake up and you know he's gonna bomb it. You know he's gonna put a bomb in the boiler room. What's your plan of attack? Let's hear.
Well, I definitely got to make sure that he thinks that. Well, see, if I kill him in my room, then I don't have to worry about it. I just, disarm. I just tell the bomb squad to come in. But in the context of I fake my death and no one knows that I'm alive, I would do the same thing. I would just hide out. Make sure that nobody saw me. Then I'd go to the boiler room and I'd just shoot him dead. I wouldn't talk to him. So that's where a lot of these movies get fucked up. You encounter the guy and then he has to have a speech because you have to explain why he's doing what he's doing, or you have to demand that he stop. Nope, just done. Flip off his off switch.
Plus, if you did fake your death like Veronica did in this movie, he's gonna monologue. So he is
exactly.
a character who is prone to monologue, so you do have a lot of time to attack.
So here's the thing. If I kill him and don't let him monologue, he's dead and he doesn't set the bombs.
Good
if
point.
I let him monologue, then I find out his plan and then I know how to stop it.
Good point. You've convinced me.
Yeah, also shoot him in the head. Nobody confirms their kill. Nobody ever confirms their kill.
Never.
No. So when he started walking out of the fucking movie, school, I'm like, yep, he didn't confirm your kill.
Yeah, I always say we live in granted this movie came out in 89, but if this movie came out today, I'd say we live in a post-zombie land world. You can't...
Double tap.
You can't... Exactly. You gotta double tap.
Shoot him in the head.
Exactly.
If you shoot him anywhere but the head, then he's not dead.
Exactly.
Also, if you don't see somebody die, they didn't die.
Exactly.
All right. So, yeah, do you think I could have done a Heathers?
I'm not going to say definitive. Oh, yeah, every time you could have. Renaissance Man, I'm going to say, yeah, CJ could do that every time. Chicken Run, I'm going to say, yeah, CJ could do that every time. This one, I think there's a bit more room for error, a bit more margin for error. I think, who's to say there isn't a scuffle for a gun and the gun ends up closer to him and he gets a hold of it and shoots you? Who's to say?
Who's to say?
So, going back to the hypothetical of the bear, and you saying you just need the one time.
Yeah.
I think if we ran this back 10 times, I could see you winning like 6 to 7 times out of 10.
Oh, there you go.
I would say that's a pass.
I definitely win the last time.
The time that it matters.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I keep telling you.
But speaking of things that matter, CJ, what really matters here is whether or not the movie is okie dokie.
It is okie dokie. Big thumbs up.
It is definitely. Truly, If you've never seen this movie, even if it's been spoiled for you here, you should check it out.
Yeah, exactly. So
very nice.
That was very nice. Let's get to the rec room, shall we?
Yeah, CJ, you want to start us off?
Yeah. A little bit of a light week for me this week. I haven't finished Succession. I've stopped. I need to get back on the wagon. I've been so busy doing job stuff lately. I'm going to recommend a sort of a very long video. I'm going to recommend. I had one time asked a couple friends of mine that are really big into Destiny. I had played Destiny when it first came out, because I was a big Halo guy and Bungie was making a new game. I remember playing that game, and I remember I had played the beta, and I have a rule against playing betas. I promise I'm going somewhere. I have a rule against playing betas because I feel like you're playing the game. It's not finished, which is fine. I always either can't get into the beta because there's server issues, or the content in the beta is more or less the final game, and it's more of the game than you want it to be. So I played the Destiny beta. The Destiny beta was the first 2 worlds. When the game came out, there were only 4 worlds total, and every world only had 4 missions.
Mm-hmm.
So that was not fun, right? Because I basically played half the game in the beta, and the beta was a janky pile of shit. I came back when House of Wolves came out, and I really enjoyed all the DLC, and I got up to a raid level on every character. I didn't get to a point where I could raid, but because I didn't have enough people to raid with. But I remember I got raid level characters for every character slot. And then I played Destiny 2, I played the base game, and I never knew what the story was. Because the games do such a shit job of telling you what the story is. The story mode, right? So, there is a video, it's called The Complete Story of Destiny from Origins to Final Shape, because now the story is ending. And the channel is called My Name is Bife. and it is a 10-hour lore video, the complete story of Destiny. And I had asked my friends one time, Hammy and Gaffy, shout out to the two of you, about the game and what is the story of the game, and they both told me that they would not tell me, that it was too much to tell me, and they would not tell me. And now I understand why. It's 10 hours long. So check that out. It's very, very well put together. Very, very interesting. Even if you're not into Destiny, like I'm basically not, it was a really good, chill 10 hours, and it's a beautifully done video. It's been out for a couple days now, but it's already almost at 1 million views. It's a great video. My name is Byf, BYF. The complete story of Destiny. You'll know it's the right one because it says it's a 10-hour video. What else did I watch? I'm going to recommend one of my favorite shows ever, which is The West Wing. I recently re-signed up for HBO Max, which is just Max now. I re-signed up for Max recently, and I got to tell you, I miss Max because two of my favorite shows in the world are on it, West Wing and The Wire. I probably rewatch those shows every year, and The West Wing is definitely one of my favorite shows. It's very quick, it's very funny, it's very smart in a good way, not like a talking over your audience kind of way. If you are gonna sit here and be like, politics, brr, not happy, like that's your prerogative. Like I totally understand. Like some people don't want vegetables with their meat, but if it is your thing, it is a admittedly left leaning show. I do love the show. I love how fast it is. The first 4 seasons of the show are the best written thing. Some of the best written television I've ever watched. I'll definitely recommend The West Wing. Season 5, season 6 and 7 are good, but season 5 is pretty bad. So yeah, so that's that. And then a movie, I actually have been thinking about recommending it for the podcast as a movie to watch. Hail Caesar, I believe is the name of the movie. I'll just double check that really quick.
Yeah, the Coen Brothers movie?
Yeah, so the Hail Caesar is a Coen Brothers movie. It stars Josh Brolin, George Clooney, Ralph Fiennes, Jonah Hill, Scarlett Johansson, Tilda Swinton, Channing Tatum. It's a really interesting movie. I think it's really good. I think that it's one of those movies where the parts are greater than the whole film. Like the individual parts of it, the little scenes that you can watch just of the movie are better overall than the whole film put together. Because I think that there's so many cool, interesting, great scenes in the movie. It's not really a dig at the movie. Like I don't think that the movie suffers in any way from it. It's just like, oh yeah, you can watch any one of these scenes and enjoy it on its own, right? There's so many sections of this movie I feel like you just take a slice of and really enjoy. So if you like Coen Brothers movies, if you like any of the actors or actresses I just said, I think you'd really like it. I mean, it's a really deep ensemble cast. It has a very straightforward premise, and it ends sort of the way that you think it would. So those are my 3 recommendations for this week.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
For my recommendations, first off,
13 Reasons Why.
No.
Winnie the Pooh and Piglet 2.
No. You did throw a 2 onto the end of there. We watched the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey movie because the first one, it just came out last year, but the second one just came out this year.
Oh.
Within the past couple months. But here's the thing. Apparently the second one, people kind of like it. So once it comes to streaming, we're going to check it out and see if it's any better than the steaming pile of shit the first movie was.
Okay.
But the first thing I wanted to recommend is Heathers the Musical. If you haven't seen it, it is free to stream on Roku, I believe. Or maybe Mubi. Just Google it. It's free with ads on some streaming service. In relation to Heathers the movie, I think the movie is better. I think by a good amount, but the musical is really enjoyable. My partner has seen it done live, and she says it's great live. And the cast in the recorded version that's available for streaming is great. The woman who plays Red Heather, Heather Chandler, incredible voice. Like insane, her voice. She's such an incredible singer. It is a musical, as the title would suggest. And it adds a bit more background info to the story. Like we see Veronica first joining the Heathers in the musical. Like, we get their whole backstory at the start of the musical. As I talked about earlier, we get a bit more from JD and a bit more talking from him about, you know, there's a whole song kind of talking about where his worldview comes from. And he's painted as more apathetic, tangentially depressed in the movie or in the musical, talking about how he kind of feels like he has like an eternal brain freeze. There's an entire song about it when they get slushies in the musical at 7-Eleven. It's not the Snappy Snack Shack, but it's good. I would recommend checking it out if you enjoy this and you also enjoy musicals. The second thing I wanted to recommend, and I don't think I need to speak too much about this because it's pretty popular, is Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. I'm a huge fan of Fury Road. I think Fury Road is like one of the best movies ever made. Certainly one of the best action movies ever made, but just in general, fantastic movie. And while I don't think Furiosa personally is as good as Fury Road, I think it's still a pretty worthy prequel. And it does nothing to disservice Fury Road. It stands alone on its own really well. And I can understand how someone might prefer Furiosa to Fury Road. Jade actually liked Furiosa better. I do think Fury Road is better personally, but I did really enjoy Furiosa. So big recommend there. Although I did say it's like pretty popular, but it isn't doing too great at the box office, but that's a whole other discussion. But the last thing I wanted to recommend, and this is my main recommendation, is a movie that just came out this past weekend called In a Violent Nature. CJ, don't watch this movie.
Okay.
This movie is pretty much Friday the 13th, but we follow Jason the entire time. The movie has its own mythology. It's its own created killer and whatnot, but it's pretty, I'm not sure if I would say pastiche, but it's pretty much Friday the 13th. And I typed up a whole Letterboxd review for this movie, but just to paraphrase, like, I honestly was really surprised with how much fun I had with this movie. I went and saw it like a early preview on Wednesday before it came out. This movie has ridiculous kills. One of them is like hands down the gnarliest kill I've probably ever seen in a movie like this. If you've seen the movie, you definitely know which one I'm talking about. Something that's interesting with this movie, though, is since it's from the perspective of the killer, like I said, like, we are with him the whole time. So like, it'll kind of be like he walks in the woods and we follow him through the woods from behind for several minutes. And it's like a couple minutes of him just walking in the woods, and it's pretty quiet and slow. That, in combination with the fact that we're from his perspective, there's really not any jump scares in the movie. And going in, like, you know, I kind of had reasoned that. I was curious how the horror would be conveyed, since a lot of tension is released that way. Like, it's built up and released with jump scares. So I was curious how they would do that. And because the movie is so gruesome and grotesque with some kills, the tension is never from, oh, I'm scared of what is it going to jump out and what musical score is going to play to like make me jump and, you know, startle me. But it's like a mounting dread of like, you know, like, you're like, oh, fuck, how is he going to kill them? What am I going to have to watch? It's not as like pervasively scary or unsettling exactly, but it's just, you know, there's mounting dread constantly. But with that being said, I laughed a lot during this movie. I thought it was surprisingly funny. Intentionally so. Like, it's so over the top in its kills, and the kills and the killer's decisions at times are presented super matter-of-factly to where there's humor in them. I don't want to say anything because it might spoil one, but like, you know, it's the killer getting carried away with things at times. It's just hilarious. Like, there are some moments, like I mentioned, one of the kills is one of the gnarliest things I've ever seen. I could not stop laughing in a crowded theater at how ridiculous it was. And I was not the only one in the theater laughing at it to this extent. But like I said, it's not like it's a negative. Like, it feels like the movie is aware of this and it kind of plays into it. And I did enjoy that. But the big thing, and I should have probably led with this, I can understand, this isn't a recommendation for everyone. I can understand how people might not like it and they might find it boring. I think the fact that I saw it in a theater helped a lot with my viewing experience, because, you know, if I was watching at home during these Like there'll be a crazy kill moment, and then there'll be like 2 moments of the killer walking through the woods. And at home, I might feel inclined to like whip out my phone and check something during this slow moment. But, being immersed in the movie, I think that these, transition shots between set pieces that last a few minutes, I think that personally they really worked for me. And they served as like a nice moment to kind of digest the gnarly shit we just saw. And kind of, it's a good job to like wipe the slate clean going into the next scene and start building the dread and tension again. The ending itself, again, I won't go too into details, but the ending itself fell a bit flat for me. It's not that it was bad. I would say it was like okay ending, but it felt like they were swinging for the fences for a home run and ended up with an infield single. They try and kind of self-reflect on the movie's themes and ideas, kind of like No Country for Old Men does. And it falls a bit flat, and I can like understand what they were going for, but it's not as like profound or impactful as intended. But overall, I still enjoyed it, but I can understand how some people might be turned off by like the prolonged scenes of just walking in the woods. But just to run through again, that's the end of my recommendations. I recommended Heathers the Musical, Furiosa, A Mad Max Saga, and In a Violent Nature. CJ, could you list again what you recommended?
Sure. The Complete History of Destiny by Byf, B-Y-F. My Name is Byf, I think is the YouTube channel. I recommended The West Wing, which is on Max, and Hail Caesar, which I've been meaning to rewatch.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, I think there's just one thing left for this show.
Sure is. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So, in our continuing duology in the life of high school girls, we will be watching next time on The Film is Okie Dokie, Mean Girls.
No way.
Yeah, way.
I have never seen this movie.
I heard that.
Perfect. I'm excited.
Yeah. So, no one gets shot, but
damn.
I know. But it's still it's a great movie. I love the movie. There was also, so it was between Mean Girls or the new one, which is also a musical. I decided to have you watch the classic before I got you into Crystal Pepsi,
Okay.
Get you, or the new Coke, as it were.
Right.
So we'll get you in on the classic. So.
I actually prefer the new Coke. It tastes better. I'm gonna be that guy.
Hey, listen, you might be. So yeah, we're gonna watch Mean Girls next time.
Awesome. I'm super excited. That's a movie I've been meaning to watch, but I just never have gotten around to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you everyone for listening to this episode of The Film is Okie Dokie. If you like the show, if you want to support us, hit like, subscribe, comment, give us 5 stars. If you don't give us 5 stars, I believe you are a hater. I've been CJ.
I've been Tommy.
And that's it. Go live your life. Go do stuff. Go to the post office. Or not. I don't know. Bye.